It's C-Doc again.
Well, there it is. Number 100. Welcome to the show. Yeah, exciting. That's right, enemy agent. Exciting. 100 episodes. I can't believe we got here already. I mean, I guess it's been a minute, but whatever. It's all good. Glad to be here and never here alone. Ladies and gentlemen, my cohorts, she got her start in classic rap radio. Our lady from the heyday of K-Day, Jennifer Jenny.
What a nice intro that was.
Yeah, I finished rendering it like 2 minutes ago. So
all right. Well,
nothing like waiting to the last minute.
Flying by the seat of pants.
Oh my gosh, man. I looked up. I'm like, oh, I got a couple minutes. I looked up and it's 1 minute to show time. I'm like, damn it.
Time funds when you're eating flies. Yep.
Yeah, that too. So how are you, JOJ?
I'm doing all right. Apparently, this is Fuck Around and Find Out Jennifer. Yep.
Yeah, the commish.
You got it. In the building.
The commish. That's right. Also joining us this evening, a man who needs no introduction, who is one of the co-founders of one of the great podcasts on the internets today, People's Distinctive Travels. Ladies and gentlemen, coming from New Jerusalem, Ultra Mag 7.
Y'all coming in hot. I'm coming in hot.
Come on, it's 100, man. Yeah,
I got it.
You know?
Man.
This is episode
Crazy.
100.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Episode 100.
You gotta come out blazing.
Yeah, gotta come
Guns
out
blazing.
Yo, she kills me when she does that.
I was trying to find a good clip of that too for the intro. So I'll have to update it. You know, basically, right now it's just all shots of us laughing. So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
I'll update it when I have some more time. But
Hype style.
Hype style in the house. Yo, what up, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Glad to have you here. Of course, the missus. She's upstairs.
The hand.
She's in the place to be. And enemy agent, yeah, what's up, everybody? Good to see you. Also joining us tonight, the president of Rap Station, the man behind Hip Hop Gods Radio, coming from the northwest side. We got to come up with the thing for that. Something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, Flatline.
Oh man, that's great.
Hey,
Yeah, there you go.
You gotta do the you gotta do the strange brew call.
Right.
You gotta make that.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're talking.
Hello to the hand.
What's happening, Flat Lizzle?
Oh man, I'm just happy to be here. I wasn't sure if I'd make it, but here I am.
No, I'm happy to have
Not
you, man.
sure if you would make it.
Well,
How could you not?
it's always a little rushed. I want to be here, but there's a lot of stuff that takes place before I actually get here.
Yeah. Yeah. Like me making the new show intro like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah. Why not?
Yep. Donnie Ozone in the house. Good to see you,
Oh,
Donnie.
what up?
Yeah. Yeah. So we've made it to 100 episodes.
And where did the time go?
I know, right? It seems like we've been doing this forever.
Mm. Seems
Maybe
like
not
yesterday
forever.
I was watching, and then the next thing I know, I was in the
Right.
computer, in the TV.
Exactly. And you put together a fantastic recap that we'll show at the probably at the end of the show.
I don't know how fantastic it is, but thank you.
Well, I saw the first 30 seconds and that was cool. So
Okay, all right.
yeah. So it was a good start.
I would have made it longer, but
Come on, man. Come on now. It's all good. I was gonna ask, and then I was like, man, it's like I thought of it this morning, and I'm like, I'm not gonna ask him. And then you text me, and I was like, oh wow, okay, all right.
Well, I heard Chuck D a couple weeks ago, and then Jennifer was like, you know, Chuck D said. I was like, yeah, I know.
Well, speaking of Chuck D, he's hanging out. You know, might as well bring him on. So, ladies and gentlemen, the hard rhymer himself, Mr. Chuck D.
Chuck.
What do you say, Ultra? What was it that was passed around to Jenny that I didn't know?
No, a couple weeks ago when we were on, you said something about doing like a retrospective or recap of the 100 episodes.
Oh yeah, that would be dope.
And C-Doc looked at me like, Ultra. And then I talked to Jennifer afterwards. She's like, you heard what Chuck said, so you're going to do that, right?
Well, I heard you're a good blade guy, you know?
Hey, I try.
Yep.
Ultra is the top-notch, you know, knife guy. What's up, Jenny? What up, Flatline?
What's up, Chuck?
What's up?
100 was up, you know? What's up, Doc?
How are you?
Crazy.
Sir? Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a trillion podcasts out there and shows and everybody, but we think we have an intriguing thing here, getting into the intricacies of hip hop and rap music and the culture from an unexpected standpoint, and as well from a point that you know, because it doesn't float to the top like the mass hysteria part of this culture, it gets to the detail. Today I was had a lunch interview with Jeff Pearlman, and if anybody, I know not everybody here is a sports fan, but Jeff Pearlman is a renowned author of sports books, and he's written books like books on the Lakers. But anyway, he's actually the writer of Winning Time, was based off his books.
Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But he's asking me questions. He's been trying to track me down for like the last year and a half on this book that he's writing about. Are you ready? Drum roll. Nope. And rap. Name a rapper. 5 seconds. Drum roll.
Cool Keith.
Cool Keith ain't gonna get a green light from a book company.
He ain't gonna get a green light from a lot of places.
Yeah. Right.
Tupac.
Oh.
I'm like, dude. 2 years ago, I'm like, dude. Pac was my guy, like nephew, whatever. But man, it's like, I think, to this point, sometimes I think it's exploitive. It's like, here we go with another book about Tupac. Mm-hmm. And are you jumping on the whole thing? I just don't. I was just like, and as a matter of fact, I addressed him on it too. Yeah. I said, bro, man, I don't feel easy about. I mean, there's other things in hip hop and rap music we need books about. Yeah. Other than yet another book about Tupac from an outsider.
Yeah.
And what I mean by outsider is like, you really, you don't have hip hop to your core. It's just one of these things that you happen to grow up with. That's a cool thing to say you're a part of or you dig and stuff like that. I get that. But I'm an insider because of, I live off this stuff. I mean, like, I entertain myself with it. It's really very few areas I go to for entertainment other than coming right back into working in hip hop, living in hip hop, and being entertained by hip hop for like the last almost 50 years. So that's what I call like an insider versus an outsider who's just like, yeah, it's one of the things I like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I wrote about and I respect Jeff's work,
Sure.
But today we had an engaging conversation, and it's good. You'll probably see. And he even admitted. He says, I said, well, what makes you want to write another Tupac book, man? He said, because all the like this, I'm intrigued by the amount of books that's out there about him and how many books are just like kind of off base, and they keep on publishing them. Okay.
And why do we keep writing books about somebody who didn't even want to be talked about when he was here?
Because he can't say nothing. He can't do nothing.
Yeah.
And then you know what? I think people what they fail to realize the most is that, and we'll even get into this discussion during tonight's with our guests, is that the dude wasn't, he was barely 25, man.
Mm.
He was making a ton of 19 to 25-year-old mistakes as well as his greatness. But it seemed like, a lot of books want to talk about his mistakes as much as his greatness. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess the same thing, he brought up this thing. It's like, how many people really know about James Dean?
Right.
This is true.
So yeah, he falls into the Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, James Dean, people tragically, dying before 30 years old that left a great body of work.
Jim Morrison,
who's my good friend John Dinsmore's bandmate.
Yep.
Mm.
Yes, indeed.
Oh.
Possible future guest on the show.
Possible future guest.
It's crazy to believe that those people were gone before they were 30.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because they're such household names.
And they created such a body of work. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if they're gone, listen, if you're gone, you can't get in the way of somebody who's trying to exploit your name.
Yep.
And especially back then, when family was like, well, what can we do? Today,
right.
It's more things out there, like a family could go know what kind of lawyer to get to protect their family heirloom, so to speak. But back then, it's like, people barely knew what that relative even did. They didn't know where to start.
Right.
Yeah, my brother plays in a rock band called The Doors.
Just The Doors.
Yeah.
You played in a rock band once.
Yes, it was a very big part of a very important rock band.
With one of our guests tonight, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him on. You guys might know him from a little group called Cypress Hill, among other things. Ladies and gentlemen, Be Real.
Be Real.
Much love, guys.
Man.
Salute.
That's my hero right there.
Yeah.
He gave me 500 hats of these.
That's my hero right there.
There you go. There you go.
You cap this off. This is episode 100 of this C-Doc Again show, and that's C-Doc. That's Jennifer. Old Jenny actually commandered front and back the old K-Day radio station on Alvarado.
Salute.
Ultra Mag is an incredible hip hop historian, a Blade guy from South New Jersey who's interwoven in all kinds of dignitaries from that side of the world. Not too far from Conshohocken.
Yes.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
I got the CD too.
Don't even make me come to you right now.
And
He didn't even hold those back.
Flatline Warnick is my quarter of a century partner buddy who has commandered rap station for so long and headed up the And You Don't Stop radio show, 14 years deep on the And You Don't Stop radio show, most famously known as Hip Hop Gods. And
Salute.
has been basically, saluting every aspect of every artist and every especially super rap artist, hip hop connoisseur who's had longer than a 10-year career, but he specializes in playing new songs by classic artists, which is a hip hop god. Because one of the biggest questions is, like, with a hip hop god, why should you ever stop recording? And nobody epitomizes the workload of a Be Real across many different inclinations of collabs, solo works.
Yeah.
It's the Cypress Hill catalog. It's like, man, bro, your bloodstream is in a lot of cats, bro.
Hey, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that, man. We try to put in a lot of work.
And you do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I got to tell you, you guys mentioned the rock band that he was in just now, and I was a part of this group called Prophets of Rage with Chuck. And I got to tell you, when I growing up into this thing we called hip hop, Public Enemy was like one of our biggest influences. You know what I mean? Like the run that they got in our cars while we were rolling anywhere. I mean, it was so to be in this group with him was like, when I would get with all my childhood friends that we all like grew up off of Public Enemy and whatnot, they'd be like, dude, how the fuck was that? Like, I mean, we know. And I got to tell you, man, it was like the greatest feeling seeing my idol right there to my right every night and us, tossing the bars back and forth, whether it was De La Rocha's bars or our bar, a combination of Public Enemy and Cypress bars and the bars we wrote for Prophets of Rage. It was like unbelievable. And the crowds we rocked, it was just fucking nuts.
Yeah.
4
I gotta
years,
say.
4 years, 5.5 million people, 39 countries. It was like a play. It was like a theater, right? It was like a theater play. It opened and it closed out.
Absolutely.
And may I also can't forget the other one of the prophets of the prophets side of Rage, the Prophets of Rage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show DJ Lord.
What up?
Yeah.
There he goes.
What up, y'all?
Mr. Fly.
Y'all bringing tears to my face now. This is tears.
I did Chuck D, my friend.
DJ Lord, my friend.
What's going on, Chuck?
They just got, hey man, you know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Lord is sending me lessons from continents away,
I
just
do my
like giving
best.
me tips on how to do occasional one giant or one-offs with Public Enemy. Thank you. They're very thankful.
Got a lot
If
of
you guys ever need a bus driver,
deep brick cutter. Yo, man.
you guys just got back from Bogota, right?
Yeah.
Bogota.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good show. A lot of energy as you can imagine. We hadn't been there in a while, but we played the late show, Chuck. I mean,
Right.
it's those 11:45 p.m. shows ain't getting off stage till like 1:15, 1:30.
Right.
Oh man.
Wow.
I mean, and like when I was in my 20s, man, I didn't give a fuck. Even up until the 30s, I was like, okay, let's go. Man, on these shows late night now, I'm like, man, come on, you guys got to book us for earlier, man.
But you know what it's about. It's about the joy of the opening acts that
yeah.
just remember the rest of their life. They're like, listen, we open for Cypress Hill. You understand? And then they're soaking up every second of it. But I mean, hey, it's the gift that keeps on giving, though, right?
Yeah, it was awesome, though, man. It was a great experience as usual.
Great energy, Bogota, but Chile is Chile is raising hell right now.
Yeah, they're a little mad at us, right?
Bro. They're raising hell.
But we'll be back over there. We'll be back over there, and they'll forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Sometimes cancellations happen in this game of ours. And rarely do we cancel, but we had some stuff going on that didn't allow us to do that show, and some of those fans got they got a little hurt behind it, because they take it a different way than here in America, as you've seen this, that their appreciation for hip hop and some of our groups from the United States, they're not going to get to see them as frequently as they might see one of their own local artists or whatever, or regional artists and stuff like that. So when a cancellation happens, man, they take it to fucking heart. And so, but you know, we will guarantee that we will be back to make that up.
Could I make this claim and this assessment and this statement that Cypress Hill was the group that opened up South America like no other? You know, Cypress Hill has a continent of followers, and the great Be Real has the ability to command a gigantic audience by flipping really bilingual back and forth and then roasting them with a song, sometimes in Espanol, a lot of times in English, but he's able to go both ways. And the first act to ever do it on a gigantic level was Be Real, Sin Dog, Cypress Hill.
Thank you, sir.
Hell yeah.
You know what's crazy is that, you know, all these years later, from when we started coming into South and Central America, you know, there was no hip hop there. There was only North American hip hop. And you know, there was no such thing as the reggaeton or any of those type of genres yet. And we were going in there, and with just a little bit of Spanish off of our first album and some of the stuff off the second album, you know, because our first time out there was in 1996. And, you know, we saw this different sort of energy for hip hop in general. But when we started bringing it in Spanish in their language and in our language as well, you know, the appreciation level went in a different way. We didn't anticipate like our Spanish EP to do as well as it did in that region, but you know, it opened up a door for other hip hop heads that, you know, wanted to do this, but in their language to actually go and do it. So from that time to now, you see some of these artists that exist in places like Colombia and Chile and Costa Rica and Panama. What they're doing with the hip hop, the art of hip hop in the Spanish language is ridiculous, man. I mean, the work is incredible. We don't hear it enough because our radio stations are chicken shit. They won't play it. And, you know, like it becomes a separate form of art. It's not, they don't categorize it as hip hop. So you got to go into the Spanish language stations to actually find some of it. But it should be played on hip hop stations, you know, on Sirius XM. And whatnot, and some of the hip hop stations, because some of the work is incredible. And places like New York and LA and Chicago and Miami that have a lot of, you know, Latino culture, Texas and everything, they would get some of those artists and appreciate them because they got a skill level that, like, I was blown the fuck away by. I was like, what I did was cool. You know, what we did initially is cool, but like hearing what they got going on, you know, in Spanish, I would have to step my bar level up like 100 notches now. But that's beautiful because it's shown how it's grown and evolved, and they got their own stars there now. They don't just have to wait for us to come down there. But again, even though they have that, the appreciation for what some of us have contributed in hip hop, the energy for it is still there, no matter if they have their own stars or not. They still appreciate it. When Public Enemy comes around, they're going to get up for it. Onyx comes around, they're going to get up for it. Wu-Tang comes around, they're going to get up for it. Cypress comes around, it's same thing. So it's the appreciation level. But to see what they've done with the art on their own is amazing.
Well, it also takes a humble superstar like yourself and Lord to be able to know that that's there, to pay respects and salutes to it, to make them also feel good about themselves too. You don't get that a lot. I mean, who would you say? And don't let me cut off questions from this distinguished panel, because we're bros and we can go on all night like this. But I'm saying, who would you consider has followed up that path that you guys have bulldozed as far as from the USA, who sometimes is stuck on itself thinking that it's always going to win the gold in the Olympics, and just like in basketball, be coming back like, yo, we didn't even get a trophy. You ain't getting a trophy. You're not getting a trophy in DJing, And spitting, how can one language cat outspit a dude that knows 3? I don't know how that can.
I don't know how that works.
There's an advantage to that because you could do like something for that specific bass and then something for this bass, right? And that's the beauty of doing that. Like the MC that knows 5 languages, he's blowing up in 5 different regions. And if he's lucky, one of those is blowing up everywhere in spite of the language barrier, you know? And we as Americans know that is possible because, you know, there's places we go to where they don't speak a lick of English or maybe, you know, just a little bit, but they know the songs word for word. And that is the one thing they could tell you in English that will sound like, okay, we know English, but they don't.
No.
I mean, that's the power of the communication power of hip hop is that people that don't know the language will learn that song because they love it so much, but they barely understand what that fucking song means. You know, yet they can recite it word for word. That's the craziest shit. So when you think about that, you know, there's some French hip hop that's popping right now. There's some hip hop in like Nigeria that's fucking cracking right now.
Africa's ridiculous.
There's some hip hop in Mexico that is unbelievable right now. I mean, it's everywhere in its own language, in its own form, and that is fucking amazing. That's the power of what this genre is.
And as a side note, everybody could go to, you know, rap station and check out Planet Earth, Planet Rap, which plays you know, hip hop and rap from every single country around the planet. And that's Miko, Kapanen, Abgel Beginning, and also head supervised by Flatline right there. The
Flatline.
The fearsome foursome is actually quiet. What's up with the fearsome foursome? What's up with the front line? Yo,
hey man,
right
what am I going to interrupt with? You know,
it looks like a football formation. You got the linebackers, and you got the front line.
Speaking on what you guys are saying, years ago in France, I saw you guys know Science Super Crew from out of France. Those guys were like a French Wu-Tang, and I didn't know what they were saying, but the flows, I was like, what? Who are these guys? And they were just so ill. So I definitely dig what y'all saying.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Lord. Sorry.
Go ahead. Now that was Ramon and Chuck when we first went to South Africa. Well, when I first went to South Africa, and we saw those MCs spitting different languages, man, it was like Ferraris, man, in a line.
I ain't never seen
crazy.
a city that had more hip hop than Cape Town.
Right.
Cape Town is like kids were born out of the womb spitting. I just like, you know, even more than Joburg. In Johannesburg, they had the key radio stations out there. And on rap night, which was a Friday night, I swear to God, remember, Lord, there's like 500 rappers.
It blew my mind.
Outside the radio station. I was like, yo, this is impossible. And there's 500 rappers outside Johannesburg radio station trying to get in and spit on the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Three, four languages, switching gears like a freaking man.
Hey, what blew my mind is you know, one of the biggest markets for Cyprus in Europe is Germany. Like their intake and appreciation for hip hop on another level, right? Yeah. And you know, we had been going there since, you know, I think 93 or something like that was the first time, and seeing them evolve into them making their own hip hop, and you know, like here is some rap shit in the German language is crazy to me, but you know, there was guys that made it work, that it sounded so dope. You'd be like, if this came on the radio back home, I don't understand none of this shit, but I would probably listen to it just because the flow and cadence sounds dope. It's landing in the right pocket, and it's fucking different. You know what I mean? But that's, again, you know, it speaks to the power of the communication tool that it is, that you could like something in a different language you don't fucking understand, and you know, that we could probably find a gem in every language now, whereas before you could probably, you know, you'd be lucky if you found one needle in a haystack. But now there's fucking gems in every language in every country that that have embraced hip hop and now do it on their own, and they're not just waiting for American artists to come through and rip. They have their own, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talented MCs in these different countries. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
like
truly global now.
Yeah, the German language, man, got a lot of, I don't know, a speck of German, but that whole, they got a lot of thump and with that guttural,
Yeah.
like
Very
they go like
aggressive.
bass tongue in it or something like that,
It's very aggressive.
Very
You know
aggressive.
what
I don't want to mention the guy that's on the History Channel each and every week. I don't even want to mention his name, but when he did his speeches back in the 30s, it was something to it, and we don't even know what the hell he was talking about. And he's up there, like, we're like, whoa. So cats are taking that type of thunder and kind of put it in the rhymes. I guess, there's something there with that language and to command attention, man, especially if, they're yelling at you.
Well, it's an extremely violent language, yeah.
Violent.
It's very aggressive.
I did want to ask about this because I think it was yesterday celebrated the 3-year anniversary, and the three of you were involved in this record. So,
oh boy,
yeah,
great,
yeah. That was with a blessing that B and Sin. It was our Public Enemy Cypress Hill collaboration that graced us, and especially during the pandemic period. And we were 1 year post Prophets of Rage, and B and Sin and Lord said, yeah, why not? So that was a good blessing to us. And they always appreciate it. And I try to get flavor at that particular time to understand the magnitude of grace. He gets it now. I'm working on him. He's doing incredible.
He's doing great.
Yeah, hey, I gotta say that was checklist for me, because if you asked me 20 years ago, was I gonna get to do a song with Chuck D and Public Enemy? I mean, doing the Prophets of Rage thing was awesome, but to get to be on a Public Enemy song, that was like everything. So thank you, Chuck.
Come on, man. We all live together, man. Listen, Be Real, and Lord could attest to this. Who was our DJ in all those flights and who's our DJ? Who's our radio station? Be Real. Everything from Black Sabbath to Chic. Everything. Iron Maiden to Tavares,
I have something for everyone.
Facts.
But how that thing started is like, we'll let everybody know how it started on the Prophets of Rage tip. You, like IB, were approached, especially during down seasons of Rage Against the Machine, because they have their up seasons when they're together, and they have their down seasons, right? Yeah. They kind of like that. They're like the Olympics.
Yeah. Every 8 years.
Once every 4 years.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm giving them 8.
8
I think you're right. Yeah.
So in the middle of one of those non-Olympic years, that they kind of people call election years or whatever, depends on what it is. I know that they've reached out. Not even they've reached out to us. Usually the commander, Tom Morello, our greatly respected leader, reached out to you. And for years they was like, well, what was Rage Against the Machine going to do without, Zach De La Rocha? And then it pops up in Spin magazine. There's always these magazines, Spin, Rolling Stone, which is taking a notch down because Jan Winter lost his mind.
Lost his damn mind.
Lost his damn mind. That was a trip, right? He never talked to me or you, B. So that was a whole bunch of bush, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, Be Real's going to head up Rage Against the Machine. And then I heard some rumors like, okay, Chuck D is going to rate. And we were like, where the hell are these rumors come? How come it doesn't work the other way? The Rage Against the Machine band is going to actually be around Be Real in Cypress, or added to Cypress Hill, So we understood that, okay, rock has been around longer. Rap is the baby. If it's rock and roll, y'all, we might not be rap, but we are the roll, right? So these rumors started coming about, and we heard these things for kind of years during, Rage's downtime. And then Morello reaches out, and I was like, I don't know about that. I already got my own group, and it's a hair full, and I got no hair. And I go back and forth, and around March, we and Lord, I said, you know what? If I'm gonna get involved, I'm not gonna replace Zach De La Rocha. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, I've already got my own thing.
Right.
And I said, you know what, make it different? DJ Lord, you guys, maybe you never worked with a turntablist. And, remember the first, I guess, tryouts, Lord?
When you came and got me from outside because I was heading to the car.
When you was kicking the can outside. I was like, listen.
I'm about to call Uber, man.
We're gonna get messy tonight. No, let me stop.
They didn't know.
Mess it up.
They didn't know what to do with me. They thought I was a DJ. They had no idea. And
I said, and I was like, I don't know what we're trying to do here is interesting. My dad had just passed. Yeah. And Tom just had a conversation with Gay, and she convinced me. But then I was like, okay, whatever. We had a couple of run-throughs, and I didn't see anything. I didn't see it working at all. And then one day Tom hits me up and says, hey, Chuck, would you be opposed to, somebody like Be Real coming to the next, rehearsal or practice or audition tryouts or whatever? And bang, I got it. After that, I was like, it was like a light bulb, because I said, now this is different from Rage Against the Machine 2.0, and we're like, okay, wow. And immediately I knew with the DJ Lord, the beginning of trying to get that accepted, but I knew immediately, I knew what I could do and what I wasn't able to do. I said, I'm coming in this game with limitations. Number two, I got a hard time remembering my own lyrics. I damn sure ain't gonna be remembering all them damn lyrics y'all got. I ain't moved by none of that. But when Tom brought up Your Name B, I was like, wow. Because immediately I knew how I was gonna fit into it. I'm not gonna be, I said, well, two MCs that people will probably think that, okay, you got two MCs like Run and DMC, and two MCs don't really work unless one says this is the A MC and this is the A or the B MC or the A2 MC. And immediately I said, I wanted, you know what I thought, B? Lord, immediately I was thinking about, what did Dwayne Wade do when he brought LeBron in? That's immediately what I thought. I said, well, shoot, we're going to bring in LeBron. I'm going to be Dwayne Wade.
Well, thank you for that.
And we're going to ball.
I said, we bringing LeBron to the project. I'm going to be Dwayne Wade. I'm going to be nice on some nights. I could get to alley-oop once in a while, do my thing. I only know one position of being a front guy, but yeah, that means I could assist LeBron, and we're going to win with LeBron. That's what I had in my mind the whole time. Now, both of us got to convince the band. We got to convince the band.
Yeah. I know where you're going.
That the DJ is also a musician.
Yeah. That took a minute, too. It took a minute because,
that took an hour.
I think, it took an hour. 2.5. Because they were so stuck on, Morello is the DJ and their configuration. And I think it wasn't until we said, hey, we should do this, because in Cyprus we played with Morello one time, and we had our DJ go back and forth with him. It was on Jimmy Kimmel. He played a song called "Shut 'Em Down," which we got from you guys, as you know.
Yeah,
And
that's a classic.
so we had them do like a back and forth. And so my thought was, so that these guys know what Lord is capable of, maybe we should do a back and forth in one of the songs. And I believe it was in Hail to the Chief or something right there, right?
Hail to the chief.
It was at that point where Morello and the rest of the guys looked at Lord like, oh, he's an instrument. Because before, it's just like Lord said, they thought, okay, well, what are we going to do with a DJ? We're like a rock band. What are we going to do? I'm the DJ. I'm the guitar playing DJ. And, we found a way to make it work with both of them. But in that particular song is where they were like, oh, he's not just a DJ. He's an instrument. He's a turntablist. And that's when they sort of opened up to maybe allowing him to lead a song or come with these different ideas where it's inspiring them to do now different rhythms that they weren't necessarily thinking about before. So, it took some convincing between Chuck and I and saying, hey, he's an asset. He's not just a guy that stands back there and stops and starts songs. This guy's a beast right there. And I'll tell you what, like when Chuck brought him into the deal, right? Like I knew about Lord, and I've seen him DJ, and I'd heard about like the battles and stuff like that, but I hadn't got to see him like in person do none of this stuff. And I've always been a turntable enthusiast from way back in the day. I mean, I DJ myself, not like Lord, mind you, but I can get down, and Lord will tell you. But when I saw him warming up one day, and everything Chuck told me, I was like, that's why. And that's when I was like, okay, Chuck, yeah, you're right. We got to convince these dudes that we got to unleash this guy on the world right here. And fortunately, after a few conversations, they opened up and said, okay, let's try something. And it worked extremely well, because when we would do that part in the Prophets of Rage shows, and this is a new song, mind you, we're holding these new songs up next to Rage Against the Machine's catalog and Public Enemy and Cypress Hill catalog. It's got to be significant, right? And we'd play that song, and that back and forth would happen. People would lose their shit. And I think, at that point, Morello knew that he was not going to beat Lord in none of these battles. But it was dope because it brought out the best in him to keep up with Lord.
Yeah. Lord is sharpening his knives the second he wakes up. His turntable is against the damn world, And that was a key point, because why would we make Rage Against the Machine 2?
Right.
Yeah, that was
no sense.
That wasn't it. And man, Cass is running from me like I was Pigpen from the Peanuts, man. I come in the room with Cass going the other way, man. Photographer taking photos. Okay, now lower out.
What?
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you what. Once they realized what he was capable of, I could tell you that a lot of times when we do a lot of rehearsals. These gentlemen could tell you they like to rehearse, and that's why we got the shows so down and so tight, because of all the rehearsals. Yeah. But when we were like warming up, they'd hear what Lord was doing and now start playing things behind him. And these sort of served as like foundations to certain songs, because they were like, oh shit, what's Lord doing right here? That's crazy. Hold up. Let me get I'm going to play behind what, it all became a thing organically. And that was due to the fact that they started seeing like what he was actually capable of. And that opened it up. It's too bad that we didn't get to finish what we started there, because we were coming up with some really, really dope work towards the end of that run.
Yeah, it was finding itself.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't think anything. We've seen a lot of rap rock band combinations, but in this situation, you're talking about the best of the best, and not only the best of the best going in there with respect. Cats is going to come into the A game, into the rehearsals. Remember, hey guys, we knew after rehearsing, nothing was going to stop us. Our rehearsals were like Michael Jordan talking about, like when Michael Jordan was in practice. You couldn't beat Michael Jordan because they said rehearsals, the shit was, practice was so hell, the Bulls was going to beat anybody. Well, that's the same way I felt like with Prophets of Rage. I mean, after our rehearsals, I was like, we don't care what the crowd thinks. And this is the case. Listen, this is the case proof. When we first came out, Prophets of Rage, was finding ourselves. It really, like, the second year was really a gear up. Every year was a gear up.
Yeah.
We would come out in the beginning of the show, right, B? We go front and center. And we looking into the faces of Rage fans looking at us.
Waiting to fuck us.
Like, what is this?
Like, straight up.
Hip hop's all right. But I'm like, what is this? And me and B are taking on Rage songs and flipping them. And it was not an easy conversion. But after 20 minutes, and at the end, it's the only thing I've ever been a part of that at the end we had standing ovations, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never been a part of standing ovations, like, oh, bravo, no matter where.
People came. There was like a combination of people, right? People that were open to the idea of this super group and the possibilities of it, right? And so there was those open-minded folks. Then there was the folks that were skeptical, like, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm just going to see what happens, right? And if it works, I'm going to jump behind it. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to boo my ass off, right? Then there was the fucking rage fans that are like totally insulted by the fact that we're up there trying to tackle Zach's shit. And they're waiting for it to happen so that they could find something to not like about it.
Anything.
Right? And after those 20 minutes, because they saw that Chuck and I were not dialing it in ever, we're like attacking that shit as if they were our songs, making them our songs in those moments, and them seeing the commitment and the level of how much excellence that we would display rocking Zach's songs. You know what I mean? And like hitting it, not changing it, not making it easy for ourselves, and dishing it back and forth, which was a dynamic no one had got a chance to experience because Zach does all this shit by himself. But seeing Chuck and I tackle it as aggressive as we did, it won people over. And by the end, like Chuck said, we'd have those fans that came for us.
Yep.
The people that were like, okay, they pulled it off. Yeah. All right. I'm with it.
Right.
And then the hardcore fans like,
yeah.
They had to give it up.
They had to give it up. Hating every minute of it, but loving it.
Yeah.
And that's what we built our base of fans from, like winning them over from night to night. And they came to see it. It wasn't like, I'll say it like this, right? In a band like that, it's a roller coaster ride because there's certain markets you're gonna have W's popping all the time, and then other markets where maybe Cypress didn't do well, or Public Enemy didn't do well, or Rage Against the Machine didn't do well, that might have been light. They showed up for us too, and I was like, wow, right? So. We didn't take too many L's. People were intrigued by what we were doing. The only L we ever took as band, well, there's two.
Oh, God.
Two L's that we took as this band, right? One was this Eminem show that we took that was already sold out.
We
didn't even have to be on it. We were a filler, right? But someone had the genius idea of putting this on this Eminem
63,000 fans in
Right.
Twickenham Stadium.
Twickenham Stadium.
Yeah, and he hadn't been there in like 10 years or something, right? So they're all ramped up for him. But we, conquering fucking Europe and every ground that we took hold of as Prophets of Rage, we were like, we're gonna stand triumphant, right? We're gonna fucking kill this because it's already sold out. We get out there, we start doing all the rage bits, and we're thinking this is gonna be rocking. Nah, you could hear the crickets in the crowd, and they were just kind of doing this, like, yeah, all right, get the fuck off already. So then, in the piece of the show that we were allowed to do the Cypress and Public Enemy bits, which were snippets of our songs, the crowd got up right then. They're like, yeah, okay, we know this shit. And then when we went back to the Rage stuff and some of the Prophets of Rage stuff, they were just like, okay, get the fuck off already. Yeah, love you.
That was perfect.
That was the L. That was the L.
That was a perfect like wedge between I don't know and give a fuck about none of that rock shit.
Yeah,
it's only about hip hop and this guy, and it was 63,000 deep.
Wow.
And McEnroe and all the cats, you know, came by and was witnessing this stadium thing, and they couldn't believe. I said, yeah, and I told the guys, really, even when we were on stage, I was looking at Timmy, don't take it personal, bro. Don't take it personal. It's just like this is that crowd, and they don't give a damn about nothing with a guitar.
Yeah.
No. What was that other L? Because I remember L, not an L.
You want me to tell you the other L? I'll give you the other L right now.
I don't call this an L, but we're playing one of these festivals, and we know what our sound is. And I think we came on after Anderson .Paak.
Oh, yeah.
And Anderson .Paak had 808s shaking this whole place. Boom, boom, boom. And he's a drummer, too.
Mm-hmm.
And 808s was shaking this whole place. But when we come on, there's no 808s.
Yeah.
And that seemed like it was like, and it's like, I was like, Brad, no matter how bad you drum, you're not getting that sound.
No, not without the pads.
Yeah.
Like the 808 pads that drummers carry now. But the L I was talking about, it's a slightly bigger L. It's the L that we didn't.
Okay. I'm bracing myself for this one.
We didn't finish the mission. The band went away before we actually finished what we started. And to me, that's an L. Yeah. But
that's a hell of an L.
But the experience in itself to get to rock with Chuck and Lord and the other guys, I mean, it was amazing because the times on stage that we had actually a really solid team.
We did.
Until we found out that we did it. But that's another story.
There it is.
But it was a great experience. I wouldn't take it back for nothing. And you know, again, you know, had we ventured a little bit more into where we were going towards that end, man, we would have made some of the hardest, solid shit anyone had heard in a long time. That is for sure. I could say that with no hesitation because we were on a good path for sure.
Would you guys say also a wake-up moment as far as the attitude on some production was a wake-up call when we went up to Shangri-La and worked on some stuff, and we were basically like, you know, missing every fastball that was coming down the plate, trying to come up with songs. And then all of a sudden, LP and Mike come in with Run the Jewels because they're working in another part. And to me, every song that LP was bringing in was smashing
easily.
Yeah.
And I think we was like, as we was trying to we were coming up with our hybrid, but you know, everything that we were coming up with when LP played the new Run the Jewels shit, it was like an antithesis of everything we tried to do, because it was like, I'm using a sample, I'm stretching the sound, we're going into this sub layer of sonics and stuff like that. And I was like, wow. But I was in my back of my mind saying, we ain't going nowhere near that stuff, because it's just too, because it would eliminate some of the processes that and another thing I felt that we didn't have to do. It's like and this was the way we were all cool. We're all cool with each other, but too cool to the point that we're too diplomatic. Like all six had to do a song, and and that necessarily didn't have to be the way to make more songs, because sometimes like Morello had his project out, and Morello's whole album was dope. So I think every time Morello would introduce the stuff he was working on and bringing it to the table, I think he feared that it would be rejection or would be like whatever. And I'm like, wow. So Morello, his best work is not introduced into this core, because we're all trying to be a little bit diplomatic with each other. But Rick Rubin knocked all that shit out of us with that one day that me.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin did Rick Rubin shit, right?
As you hear from time to time, Rick Rubin does what Rick Rubin does, right?
Makes magic.
So when Chuck and I went down there, he educated us on that, and we both have this respect for the man, and he saw it, and we knew it the minute he said it. You know what I mean? And but I'll say this, had we finished it, people would have heard some incredible music that was different than what Rage was doing, and slightly different than what we had done on our first actual album as Prophets of Rage. I mean, we're definitely evolving into a sound of our own, and it would have been incredible for sure. But I think, at some points when you come from another band like this, and we all did, right, to make this band. I mean, Chuck and Lord are coming from Public Enemy. I'm coming from Cypress Hill. These three guys are coming from Rage Against the Machine, and we're trying to do this thing, right? And the quest is not to sound like Rage Against the Machine,
Right?
not to sound like Public Enemy or Cypress Hill, but to have its own sound. So that journey in itself is a tough one, because you got, six guys in the group, and to get all these ideas and harness them in the way that works for everybody, it's tough. You got to be diplomatic, and to speak to what Chuck said. Yeah, had the way that they were open to unleashing Lord in that moment, where like they didn't know what the fuck he was capable of, and then they saw it, they were like, oh my God, we could do so much more, right? If Morello would have been, I think, allowed to just, see the vision that he did in terms of the sound, it could. I think it could have got there, but I think he was also being diplomatic and like trying to, accommodate everybody's ideas, and sometimes that's the hard dynamic in a group. Yeah. Everybody wants to say, we get a producer, and you don't allow the producer to produce. That's a problem.
That's a big
and
problem.
Sometimes you got to face a L in the face and just say, we might take a L on this, but the long run on this is going to be good. Like, I felt like the end of our touring runs, we became more Rage heavy because we wanted that immediate Rage response.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, we challenged that with our own makeup of a bunch of different, aspects from our catalogs, and we went into it, and then we ended up bending the audience. And at the end, we kind of relied on the no-brainers. Of course, you're doing Bulls on Parade. Okay, it's like, whether you're opening with that or closing with that, come on, man. It's like, but that's your, okay, yeah, that's coming up to the plate and hitting it in an upper deck. How I could
that's
kill
the
him.
safety net.
Yeah, safety net.
That's the word.
And and when we got more reliant on that, wanting to have that response all the time instead of fighting our way through it, I think we would have. And here's another thing for everybody: you know, we were at our peak, right when the Avenged Sevenfold group canceled out. I thought.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
Because we was gonna mop them dudes every night. I'm saying it. Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah, we
it.
were gonna,
We was gonna mop them every
every
night.
night.
It was a blessing for them.
Yeah.
Not have to.
What happened to homie?
No disrespect to him, but
No
we were
disrespect.
doing something. With no disrespect to him, but we were doing something really different, man. And it was hard to compete with what we were doing. There was groups that had been around longer than this group has, but the catalog that we unleashed upon a festival was fucking savage.
Yeah, it was savage.
It was hard for groups to come on after that.
It was very difficult, and I think that and what happened with we had a tour. It was going to be our second tour in the United States, our second spread out full tour. I think it was 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
There was going to be a problem. It was almost like in a bad, without you trying to be offensive, but this show, anything could fucking go, right?
Right.
We were like sharks. Tell Lord, we were like sharks. And that shit, when we heard that Homeboy had a weak vocal or whatever,
with his vocals or whatever.
Yeah,
and then,
man, that was like blood in the water, man. And when we realized it was blood in the water, it was too much blood in the water because we said, this dude, if he can't go, the tour is canceled. So it was one of those things, like, because we were like, please be ready. But then it wouldn't have lasted because he would have blew his voice out in the first 2 shows because we were banging it.
We were banging it.
I don't think he's been on tour yet. At least I don't recall seeing any tours announced with them on it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It would have been a great opportunity for them. Look, it would have been a great opportunity for them, but we was straight on MASH on that one. We were on MASH. I think we were kind of like. I think we also remembered that Eminem gig.
Oh yeah, never forget. I'll never forget that. We all have one in the existence of our career that this happens. It doesn't matter who the hell you are. The cricket gig happens, and you're lucky if it's just that. You're lucky if it's just that, because some people will do worse.
Crickets was 63,000 crickets.
63,000 crickets. That was something.
That was some shit, man. But I tell you, check this out. There is nothing to this day that sounds like Pop Goes the Weapon or Made with Hate.
I was gonna say
there is nothing out to this very day.
Heart Fire, and let me tell you, YouTube, right? Again, guys, YouTube can't convey what YouTube is only like a 2-dimensional thing. It can't convey anything close to the event.
No,
that's the even problem with YouTube today. It's like, yeah, I saw y'all on YouTube. That's not the same, man.
It's not the same, yeah, no. And here's the thing, right? And I spoke to it earlier, is that we were playing songs trying to hold them up next to these enormous Rage Against the Machine songs, and I got to say that we made some songs that in the live arena held up to that. Like Unfuck the World, people would go ape shit crazy to that. And Living on the 110. Hearts of Fire. What was the other one? Inhale to the Chief. I mean, some of that album resonated with the people out there, and they would go nuts for it. And that was the validation for me. I'm like, like playing this Rage shit is awesome and it's fun, and seeing the reaction of this crowd is great. But that's not us.
Right.
We're keeping the throne hot for this fucking guy when he comes back. But what we create hold up next to it? And there was nothing more validating than like doing these shows, and most especially at Hellfest, and seeing our own songs that we wrote that were not Rage Against the Machine songs smash the fucking place. I mean, that was, so it, that, because a lot of people came with a lot of salt at first, like, oh, they're just a super cover band, Prophets Off Rage and shit like that. And we're like, nah, this is a group. We happen to play these songs because the lineage of these 3 guys here, but what we're doing is something different, done our way. So, it was validating to see that crowd, each crowd every night react to it like that. And it was amazing to see that shit, even though we were leaning on the Rage songs heavily as a safety net, understand, but seeing the original songs that we created go, and obviously seeing the Public Enemy and Cypress songs go, I mean, those are going to go because our fan base, that whole fan base is created from, Rage Against the Machine, Public Enemy, and Cypress Hill, even before that even starts.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the people that are Rage fans, they know that Rage were fans of Public Enemy and Cypress Hill because they stated this shit as such throughout the history of their existence, right? So we have some common fans there. And then we have
I don't mean to cut you off, but one thing I know, Cypress Hill fans will bust your ass. They will straight out kick ass. Public Enemy fans, this is probably a continuing Public Enemy fans that will go like they will just do you, right? Rage seem to be like they have the Rage, some really straight out, rough fans, but then they also have a lot of fans,
intellectuals,
that bridge and tunnel fans, like, okay, hey, like I'm gonna be radical today, and Rage, the guys are authentic and pure. But I would look at fans, I'd be like, you just being a convenient, this was the thing for you to rally behind while you was feeling yourself and all that, great. But Cypress Hill, you don't want to fuck around with a Cypress Hill.
Yeah, what's
you get tossed and lost from it. And that's when the swirl started. We started to really understand that Prophets of Rage is forming its own fan base. And today, Prophets of Rage goes down as being sort of like a cult thing that existed. And man, it's a cult thing that's growing. So this brings me to a statement, because we talked about it, and when Rage Against the Machine reformed, and I'm not getting into intricate details or whatever that might leak out during this conversation, whatever. But I'm saying that I went to a Rage show at the Garden, and I couldn't get backstage to visit the guys. And I couldn't even get backstage, and they had some specific protocols for COVID that was going on, and I got the warning from you two guys, man. I hope you get backstage and were able to meet the guys, because I heard it's hard to get backstage and meet the guys. And I'm like, well, we're bandmates, and I get it that whatever we did with Prophets of Rage, you know what? Fuck, this ain't what you would call audio slave, because I'm pretty sure with Chris Cornell and the guys, they didn't dip into the Rage catalog, like we did with Prophets of Rage, and it was cool. We were attacking it like that. But I was, and me, I'm the most diplomatic. I'm treated as the OG, Tom is the commander, but when I went to the Garden, man, and and I didn't even get a chance to see Timmy, Brad, or Tom, based on this COVID protocol. I walked from the Garden to the hotel I stayed in Manhattan that night, and I tried to keep it away from y'all. I tried to keep it away from y'all, like that whole "told you so" type shit. So I'm like, No, listen. I walked from 34th Street and 7th Avenue all the way to the east side, man, where my hotel was. Yeah. And I was like, nah, man. Man, COVID protocol, listen, man, we in the swamps together, man. We in Jakarta, man, getting warnings from the government, like, don't talk outside of your songs. We together as one. And if anybody I'm going to blame, what's the dude? Muller? What's the
Don Muller, yeah.
Yeah, that fuckhead, man. I felt that fuckhead,
The guy that was sitting at the Mayan.
He ruined what was left of a camaraderie between us as Brotherhood.
Absolutely.
With his waving of his fucking fat ass fucking wallet.
When 1,000,000% facts, B.
Facts. Super facts.
Co-sign that shit right there all day. That dude, I got no words, no nice words for that fucker.
So my thing is like, all right, do I get upset? You know, I asked for Zach's permission in the beginning. Like, yo, Zach, you know, like, I'm doing your songs. Do I have the blessings? And by email, he gave me the blessings. And I went off with it. And I was like, cool. So we shouldn't have a problem with this again. I also reached out to Sin Dog. And Sin gave me the blessings. Yeah, bro. Yeah, go ahead. I'm like, yo, I'm all right with doing this because I'm getting the blessings of the vocalists who I admire very much to come ahead and do this. But fast forward that the more that we gained the folklore, I never perceived this as being a threat against Rage Against the Machine because we were keeping the seat warm for our dude Zach.
We said that.
We might have had a problem with them, and I know it's like whatever, but I'm like, yo, dude, the 6 of us had a brotherhood straight up and down where whatever you got going on, that shit don't matter. Fuck you, dude. This is this unit here. And we love you for what you are, but that was a little bit disturbing, and it hit me when I walked from the fucking garden home to the hotel.
Making me mad, man.
I would have been mad for you. You know, I feel some way about it right now.
I kept it away from y'all.
I know.
Because
I'm not surprised.
Huh?
I'm not surprised by that. Because you're really nice about shit like that, man.
Listen, we were giving, me and Laurie Buller, my magic, we were giving tickets like up there. Tickets. Yo, bro. Tickets. So I'm sitting next to Laurie and we're looking at the show, and let me tell you, I thought the show was spectacular.
But
listen, this is the reason why. Because the screen game, I knew that Tom. Because we saw the street. And goes out to everybody. We saw the emergence of the screen game on stage performances on tour. Remember we played with 9 Inch Nails?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we played right before 9 Inch Nails in France, a festival way back. And we did our thing. We thought we roasted, right?
Right.
Then Trent Reznor, comes on stage, and we're on the side of the stage and kind of like, is that it? But what was happening is that he had a couple of cameramen on stage shooting like a live video of the performance. So it was almost like a theatrical thing. Mm-hmm. And so they said, well, yeah, you can roast us on stage, but we got this new, we enveloping a new type of theatrics with this screen that we have. And I think Tom recognized that. So when I saw Rage at the Garden and I saw that their performance was backed by a screen, especially since Zach got hurt.
Yeah.
And had to sit on that crate or that back. Probably had to sit on that Prophets of Rage crate that he painted over.
Spray painted over.
Look, we were hurt. Listen, we got the news, right?
Yo, this is real talk, dog.
Because basically, also guys, I ran into Shirley the other night.
Oh, we saw Shirley on the road.
Yeah, Shirley's working with not one of those country dudes, not Jason Aldean. Yeah. Could be. I think somebody like that.
She's good people.
Great people. Yeah. Now these people
Slim have been working.
Excuse me?
We saw Slim too.
You saw Slim? Yeah, I saw Slim too. Yeah, because also Dave Grohl says what's up too, because we played with the Foo Fighters the other day for iHeart. So saw Shirley. And Shirley is for y'all don't know, Shirley is just and y'all can fill in. She's just a wonderful it's like she's a supplier of locker room stuff, making sure the gear is right. What was that position called? But
I think she's like a production manager or something like that.
Production. Wonderful person. Originally from South Africa, has been in the States, worked with crews and all. And the thing about it, Rage had to say also with the great Tim Krieg, the head tour manager of Rage, they had the same, like they pretty much had the same working crew
for a while,
right?
Oh.
Right.
And when Prophets of Rage ended, we carried what 30 people. Prophets of Rage carried, and many of them were part of the Rage crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But from the whole Don Muller shit on down, right? They had gotten orders that nobody would have participation with Prophets of Rage will be working on the Rage Against the Machine tour.
Ain't that some shit?
Wow.
To the
Ain't that some
point that,
shit?
you know, now these are the things that came out later on as I'm trying to just like, okay, all right, whatever. You know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not blaming any of the Rage guys. I'm going to blame Muller, and it's going to have trickled down from that point on. But we had heard ridiculous shit to the point like, and this is where we knew that maybe this folklore thing was growing a little bit, especially when they got news that the song that we went in the studio with, me and B Real and Rick Rubin, was the best shit that nobody ever heard. Yo, man, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna testify right now, right? Testify, right?
Yeah.
That song, Decibel. Look, me and B Real sitting in the studio with Rick laying on the couch, basically orchestrating this shit to be the best record we ever did.
Yeah, and he loved that one. Out of everything,
he don't love a lot of shit at all, right?
No. He didn't love a lot of the experimental shit, but he loved that one. And that was like the indicator of this is the direction to go. You guys keep fucking around with all this other shit you're doing, whatever. But if you focus on this sound right here, y'all are a song away, you know, type of thing, you know. And before we could get on that, it ended.
but this is the thing is like, the thing that, me walking from the garden tied everything together, not to the point of angst. I got it. You know what I'm saying? I had to get off the locomotive at one time. I had to get off the locomotive anyway. I didn't want to be the bad guy to say, okay, I did the 4 years. Now I got to get back to my life and other things. But you know what? Team player. Later on finding out, which tied into me walking from the garden from seat 3096 in the upper deck, right?
Shit,
was
man.
that the crew, part of the crew that went around for Prophets Rage for 4 years would not be retained. And anything we had our logo on crates and gearboxes and all that. Everything is to be obliterated.
Here's what I found.
Nothing.
Gary, you mind your business.
Nothing. Just to say Prophets of Rage, and it was supposed to be expunged from the
existence.
Musical
wow.
existence.
That's crazy.
And that's why when I saw all these guys from the record company, was Dave Glue and all, I mean, really seriously, if I saw record guys, like, for example, if I saw Chris Swartz, we like, yo, man, what up, Chris, yo, up, Chuck, whatever, a record guy, and, and me and Be Real share a common affinity for the Donnie Ienner.
That's right.
We're kind of interwoven with respect for, like, okay, this dude, he helped you, he helped me, the inner details. I didn't like none of those epic motherfuckers, man. Epic records. I didn't like none of all of them motherfuckers, because they look down on us like, okay, here you guys, and we already experienced this with our rock departments and stuff like that. And I didn't like it. So when it just all bubbled up into like, wow, that was kind of like disrespectful. I don't know if there will ever be a kind of like a reunion thing. Well, you know what? I can't speak on that, but I was one that was always keeping a door open just to be able to sit together and break bread. And when I heard about everything Prophets of Rage had to be erased, and they fired 90% of the staff because they were associated with us. Then I was basically, and Be Real and Lord knows, I'm Mr. Diplomat. But when I say some shit is some bitch shit, I'm, it's,
Hey, look,
Lord looking at me with pointing my finger like, see, bro, I told you so.
Hey, look, I'll be honest with you. I had been heated about it, and normally it would be me popping off, but we decided that, like, it'll come out when it comes out, and however it comes out, right?
Well, that's
so
why. That's why on the 100th episode, if it's seen
right. But my point being that he's Mr. Nice Guy, diplomatic, and he felt this way about it. Like it like hit him that like he had to be the one to say it. Because before it was me and Lord, like we're ready to let the world know this was not cool.
Yeah.
And all the time, me and Lord are kind of chilling each other out because we know Chuck's cool. Yeah, it's like, all right, he's gonna be the big brother diplomatic one. He's just gonna be calm all the time. It's up to us to sort of, not speak about this and let's just let this go, right? Because it was tough in the beginning. We felt slighted in many ways and stuff like that. And having this bond and this brotherhood that we developed, and coming to find it didn't mean as much to them as it meant to us. Yeah. Know what I mean? But we weren't going to be, like bitching about it because realistically, under this banner, Prophets of Rage, we fucking slayed the world. You know what I mean? And in terms of a reunion, I mean, you want to refrain from saying never, right? But I will say that I don't know if they can. Right. I don't know.
You don't know if they can legally. Because let me tell you, you see those hats up there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are the garden seats.
That's where you sitting at.
Listen, even when I understood, I couldn't understand not being able to at least see Killer Mike and LP. Because I'm like, okay, you know what? I get that. That's on some shit that they might have had to sign a contract. But fuck this COVID shit, man. I'm like, come on, man. I'm going everywhere, man. I know people in the garden and shit like that, right? It's like, nah, because this is coming from the inside. It's not coming from the garden. It's coming from the fucking inside. And inside the inside, we kind of knew that it smelled like a little bitch up in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, well, damn, at least I wanted to see, Mike and LP and commend them on a fucking, let me tell you, Run the Jewels, they were kicking ass. And Rage was too, in all fairness. But I was like, yo, okay. He's like, okay, Chuck, we'll give you like upper deck seat, take your ass home. So when is the next time we kind of like, like, hey, what's up? Like on the street? Like, I ain't,
Yeah, and how was that?
And this year, they're inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I will see the four of them in Barclays in a month and a half. I'll be there. I don't know if I'm hanging with Missy Elliott more. Maybe I'm hanging with Mellencamp or somebody like that, who's a straight ass cigarette nonstop. So, yo, get those bitch ass motherfuckers for that.
Hey Chuck, what if they ask you for a performance?
I was just gonna say.
I have to refrain because I am tied. I was tied with my brethren.
Hallelujah.
We're tied together, man. We're tied with them too. We're tied with them. I talked to Timmy the other night. We're tied with Timmy, Brad. To me, Brad's the sweetest dude in the world. And Tom. And big up to Tom's mom, who will turn 100.
Yes.
Mary Morello. This Sunday.
Awesome.
Big up to Mary. Wow. So we're tied with them, whether they want to. That's why my point to the Muller and that motherfucker, man, the fucking Nazi, right?
Right.
He got up and with the fucking dividing split. we saw each other at the forum, man, and, you know, and we all fucking said, it seems that's where it comes from.
Well, yeah, he's definitely one of a few people that created a wedge there. You know what I mean?
I would see him backstage, right? And, you know, he was just like, you know, you would see him backstage. He ain't saying much. He's just like, you know, we should have gaffled his ass in the fucking locker room, man. Just fucking suck. It's like, you know what? If he, you know, just call a bunch of Sin Dogs guys from San Diego, man, to roll up.
Right.
Roll up on him. Yo, you remember how weird it was backstage at those Mayan shows? It was just weird. And I remember seeing that guy, he wasn't speaking to nobody but Timmy.
Not
he
us,
was just sitting there. He would not speak, and the whole energy was off for those two shows that night. I couldn't understand it. Nobody could look each other in the eye. No one was talking.
Well, you know, I saw it as a red flag when Muller didn't want to get to know the rest of us, and he would only talk. And he would only talk to Timmy. You know what I mean? So that told me everything. And you know, I was waiting for it. I mean, you guys heard some of the stuff I was saying before that last show. You guys were being very nice. But yeah, I was like questioning a lot of the stuff, and I remember even telling you guys, hey man, if they don't fix A, B, and C, I'm gonna be the fuck out of this in a heartbeat, because this is not going the way it's supposed to go, the way we started this. And we all knew it was because that guy that Chuck mentioned, Muller, you know, he started to create this wedge with us, and like, you know,
the three of us appeared to be more and more of a problem. Yeah. Prophets of Rage was a fucking problem. It's like it was great covering up the wound as a band-aid, and then it becomes its thing. Now we got to eliminate the tumor.
Well, to speak to that, right, is that Don Muller, who was forever the agent of Rage Against the Machine, was afraid that if Prophets of Rage takes hold, any paydays for Rage Against the Machine will be gone. Yeah. Because, you know, if this takes hold, you know, these guys won't feel the need to do Rage Against the Machine. They'll just be doing this. And so we served as a threat to that. So, like, he came in like gangbusters and created this little shit that happened that caused us to say, oh, well, okay, we got to just end this right here, because we see the writing on the wall, and they'll put it on me in the end, because I was the one that made the last Instagram post about, hey, this was fun while it lasted, and this, that, and the other, and congratulations to the reformation of these guys, and blah, blah, blah. And no one spoke to that after. Like, they just left that as the last piece of content that went out as a Prophets of Rage thing. And that was telling to all of us. So when you speak about reunions, you know, it's kind of hard to, like, you know, think about doing that when you realized how it all went down. And you know, it would be tough to do that again. Even though I know it would be fun, and we would kill it, because that's what we do. And there's people out there that would be like, we want y'all to get back together no matter what. There's things we have to hash out before any of that
that will definitely have to be a meeting that never happened. Like, I thought that the way to properly announce, like, hey, we're gonna do Rage Against the Machine, and it's been a great run. Because, like I said, my time was up. Basically, I didn't want to be the first bad guy, so I would have been. But I thought, and this was your suggestion, I think, Lord, and also B, like, maybe it should have been over. How many times did we sit around and eat dinner and had great conversation?
All the time.
You know, come to LA,
and that was something that was foreign to them. They rarely hung out like that till we came along and, like, you know, made them be a crew.
Yeah, we were a brotherhood to their brotherhood, because we brought a brotherhood to those three.
Yeah.
So I think properly it would have been us six in a restaurant, whatever, and they three could tell us, because we don't want to even tell everybody how.
Yeah, we don't want to.
How to break. I don't want to.
How to break.
That's the third L. That's the third L. That's the L we don't speak about, because people would be like as upset as we were, other people would be disappointed and pretty fucking upset themselves, knowing the way that it got handled. So like,
wow,
you know, it's already crazy speaking about it now, but I don't want to shed no horrible light on that because it was kind of shitty. You know what I mean? And
but this is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame year where they get inducted 6 weeks from now. So all them corny ass, phony ass, epic motherfuckers are gonna be in the fucking house. Well, and Muller might be in the house too, because it's all at Barclays in New York.
Well, see,
they put me. Dudes, no offense, Ultra Mag, but all them dudes who are Epic Records and live in fucking, you know, suburban Jersey and shit, all come across the bridge and the tunnel and sit their ass in Barclays and say, "How good it is to protest, man."
Chuck, bring the S1Ws with you.
It's crazy. Hey, well, you know, hey, I'm sure that the induction will be great, and it'll be an awesome event for them because they've been wanting this for some time, and somehow they got it early. But you know, hey, I think they've put in some significant work, so you know, it got them in. I'm still trying to get on the board you're on. I want to get on the board you're on, so like I can help bring in people that need to get in there. You know what I mean?
Salt and Pepper in Cypress Hill. You know, got to get up in there, and then trust me. And you know, like I know one thing, I want to have better seats at Barclays than I had the Garden.
Get me up in there, Chuck. Let's reel some real shit in here, bro. Come on. They're not hearing me at the hall. I've been trying to get in and petition and send emails. Hey, let me in to the other board, the higher board. Yep. You know, like you need some young blood in there. Get me up in there. I'm 53 though. It's not that young, but I'm saying
it is younger. It's younger than Jan Winner.
Yeah, he's out.
Get him out. Hey, put me in Jan's place.
Yep,
exactly.
I could cover more than one genre.
I'm trying to tell you, I've seen it with my own eyes.
Speaking of cover 3
genres. One thing was underrated about those Prophets of Rage shows was Lord's pre-show get down. I never heard anything to this day.
Yeah.
The pre-show get down of like a mash mix of metal before we got on.
Had to set it,
convinced a lot of cats.
Had to set the mood properly. Yeah.
You know, he was unleashed to the world in a different way because that's a different platform, you know, that we were set upon. When you think about some of the stages that we got to rock on the festivals, you know, Poland was 700,000 alone.
Yeah.
That was insane.
One show. And we got to rock several shows that were like at 100,000, 70,000, 250,000. And like he's unleashing, you know, those first 15 minutes and like they're getting their minds blown because you don't see DJs do that these days because
they don't know the records like that.
They don't know the records.
And they don't know how to kind of manipulate a record into a mash or a mix or a flip or a back cue, Lord, right?
And a lot of these new rappers, and groups, they don't unleash a DJ. They got a stop and start guy. You know what I mean? And groups like Public Enemy and Cypress Hill, we know the power of a DJ, and we unleash them as such. And going into that band, you know, of course, we were going to petition to unleash the beast. You know what I'm saying? And fortunately, they listened to us. And man, you know, the impact that he had opening up those first 15 minutes was ridiculous.
Yeah. You guys set precedent. You guys set precedent on the Showtime documentary a couple of years ago. That has grown into its own legendary, you know, documentary that says so much. I mean, you know, it was a blessing coming down to the release party. I hung out. It felt like I danced all night.
Me too. I felt like I danced all night too. I did dance one step though. But my shoes made me feel like it.
But you know, Mass Appeal had a big hip hop 50 year, man, and you know they they clocked out on the Yankee Stadium gig, and they did the Nas is all woven into that. But you guys helped step them up with that first documentary, man. Yeah. You know, yours.
You know, I think Estevan did a great job in bringing forth like his part of the story to our Cypress Hill story, because he was with us for so long. And, you know, credit to him for trying to tell a 30-year story in 90 minutes. You know what I mean? But it was dope. The story that they told, there's a lot of missing links in there because of that time difference and stuff like that, having to edit away a lot of other stories that were incredible. But as it happens in music, you know, you make the first documentary and a few years down the line, you're making another one. So, you know, salute to Mass Appeal and Showtime for like seeing us as worthy enough to tell a part of our story. You know what I mean? Crazy ride as it is. I mean, it was kind of PG in comparison to some of the other shit that has happened. But you know, I thought they all did a great job on it, and we get love from it all the time from people that maybe didn't know about us in the beginning, and then people that were reconnecting to us from that. You know, like, oh man, I grew up off these guys. You know what? I'm gonna invest my time in seeing what they're doing now, and that was the cool thing about the documentary, bringing some new fans to light and reconnecting some of the older fans.
One of the most heart touching things ever to me that ever happened was, you know, the morphing and emerging of DJ Lord, PE, Prophets of Rage, Cypress Hill seamlessly with family. One thing is to say family, but there's no La Familia, you know, Don than you, Be Real. And when Be Real says family, he means it. You know?
Absolutely. That's the way we roll, man. And you know, Lord is the bridge between Cypress Hill and Public Enemy right there. And we've always been attached, because anybody that knows anything about Cypress Hill in a lot of our interviews, and they ask us, you know, who's been your influences, and obviously we say Run DMC because, you know, they, like, for us in our generation, that we connected with them before we did, you know, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. We connected with that later, but Run DMC was what turned us on. But when Public Enemy came on, I mean, some of us were gangsters and we're listening to Public Enemy, and that is totally in contrast to what the life we're living right here. That's how powerful it is, right? And it's coming from that background and listening to them, we couldn't get enough of them, and we always considered ourselves in reverse of it, the way our vocal tones and our pitches are, and how, you know, Chuck is the lead in Public Enemy and Flavor sprinkles it with the high pitch. We're that in reverse, where I'm like leading with the high pitch and Send Dog is sprinkling with the you know. And that was a direct influence of Public Enemy, and also Ram LZ. I could not forget to mention, because he was the one who gave me the inspiration to pitch my voice up, because he used to rap in a voice like this and then bring it all the way up here and shit like that. You know, I like weird shit like that. So, you know, respect and rest in peace to Ram LZ. But like Public Enemy and Ram LZ, that pretty much made me what I am today, pretty much realistic.
Well, what's underrated, B, is your vocal range. Because you rhyme. I'm next to you on stage. You could go into 4 different MC voice modes.
Yeah, you know, the one that stuck was the high pitch one. But like I can get in different ranges and stuff like that. But no one ever has asked me to do that. You know, and in Profits, it gave me a little bit of room to do this. And DJ Quick was actually the first one who asked me to rap in a different tone than my normal way up high ad rock type shit. Yeah, on a song called Fandango. It was for his album, but he asked for me, and I was like, you know, I never thought I'd get a call from DJ Quick like that, you know. Yeah. And he's like, hey, yo, hey, B, I need a verse from you. I'm like, all right, shit. I go up in there and I write the verse. And he's like, yo, stop. And I was like, oh, shit, he actually stopped me. Because, sometimes these producers will feed your ego and just let you go. And they'll settle for what they settle for. And other producers will demand more of you. This is just the nature of the business. But most of the time when I get with the producer, they'll just let me do me. And then, hey, that was tight. All right, cool. But he stopped me in the middle of the shit because I was rapping way high and the style was meant to be more of a flow, like a conversational than an amplified, right? But I wrote it. I just wasn't getting that dynamic because I'm not the producer. I'm just trying to rock it the way I might have heard it in my head. And he stops it right there. He goes, look, everybody wants you to rap up here. I want you to come right here and rap right there. That style that you're kicking needs to be right here. So like pitch it down. Have you ever done that before? I'm like, no. He goes, okay, you're going to do that right now. I'm like, go. So I pitched it down just like he said. And it ended up like, it sounded better than what I thought it was going to as I was going to try to amplify it. Right. And he gave me a whole new flip right there. And then from that particular song, I start getting more, more people hit me up for features and shit like that because he's in this particular one. He's not showing my songwriting ability. He's showing my flex as an MC, right? And then I start hearing, that he's saying in interviews, "Well, B Real's better than Tupac. I like how he gets down and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like blown away by this. I'm like, okay, thanks, quick shit. Man. You made a friend for life with that one, man. That's a compliment. But I realized, he's a real producer. David Blake, aka DJ Quick, is a genius and a producer. And as an artist, I follow the producer. If you tell me pitch it up, I'm gonna pitch it up. If you ask me to come down here in the middle, I'm gonna do that. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But for me, if I'm working with someone, I'm gonna take the direction. That's just how it is. But yeah, he helped me a lot to show my skills as an MC outside of an MC being in a group, because guys like Chuck and myself, we don't get that solo greatest of all time look, because we're in groups. Right. But if you peel us out of these groups and isolate our bars, you could put us up there with any of these guys that they put up as the greatest of all time.
Yeah, word up.
Jenny remembers when DJ Quick was about 5 years old coming up to K-Day.
Pressing his hair. Yeah.
Tell us, like, how much rehearsal did you have to do in Colorado for the orchestra?
Oh, the orchestra. Well, we did our own rehearsals for about a week or something like that. And then the last two rehearsals we did with the actual orchestra, they rehearsed on their own. And then we just made final adjustments right before the show. Because there's a rehearsal the day before, then the day of, before the show, actually. It's a full-blown, you're going through everything. And it was cool because, you're actually getting a chance to see, all right, this is actually going to work. If it doesn't sound right in rehearsal, you got a fucking problem. And,
everybody was blown away. They were amazed at that shit.
Yeah. I mean, as we were doing it, I was amazed because I'm right there. Like, once again, it's like the moment I'm seeing you to the right of me, like, oh shit, there goes Chuck D, and I'm on stage with him rocking. It was the same thing as, being up there with this orchestra. Like, I'm like sitting there doing it, and I'm looking at Sen, and like, we're in suits, and I'm like, when I see Lord over there, I'm like, fuck, we're actually doing this with an orchestra. All right. So it's a great feeling. And the cool part about it, Chuck, you would love this shit, right? Because it's not like Cypress or Public Enemy or Prophets of Rage where you and I got to be running around and fucking, all this crazy back and forth shit. It's like, you're standing up there like fucking Frank Sinatra, just like, just look cool and spit the verse.
Was there one person I'm gonna ask both of y'all the question. Was there one person in the orchestra that you just couldn't take your eyes because staring at? Like, was there like some 87-year-old dude that's just no emotion, just going like this? You know, I mean,
yeah, the violin section that was around the conductor.
Yeah,
they were killing it. So I mean, all of them killed it, but those were the ones that were like directly in my line of sight. If I were to turn around, like, so if I was looking at the conductor, I'd catch the violinists doing their thing, and that was pretty dope, man, to see that and hear it, because you're hearing it in real time and not through your monitors necessarily. You're hearing the organic sound of it. And over at the spot in San Diego at it's something called the Shady or Shaddy Shell or something like this. They made it specifically for symphonies, where the sound of it is incredible.
It's
beautiful. And it blew me away while I was up there. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was awesome. We're doing the next one in Oregon.
And that's like the Hollywood Bowl. What you're talking about? It's the same concept, where it's just a shill.
Yeah.
Big shout outs over to I think we're frozen up on this.
Oh, I guess Mr. Chuck is.
Chuck is frozen. Who's frozen?
Chuck frozen.
Chuck is frozen. Oh,
He's restarting. There we go.
There he is.
That was Don Muller that did that.
Trying to get a hold of this conversation.
Trying to edit it and shit.
Yeah, man. Like, for example, big up, to the great Eric Bobo.
Mm-hmm.
Word up.
Big up to the great Sendog. And how much does Mr. Lawrence Mugarud come and check out the show? Has he checked out this format inclination of the Hill?
He hasn't been to the shows as of late, because he's been like traveling everywhere, like filming a lot of new stuff for like the what he just released, which was Death Valley, which is dope. Like, the concept of it is crazy, and how he ties in all the songs. And so he's just been working on that, but we're going to try to get him down to the one when we come to LA and do it with the LA feel. Like that's one of the plans. There's a few orchestras we want to make sure we hit with. One is Chicago, one is New York, one is the London Symphony. Obviously, that's what we really want to hit right there. So we're working towards that for next year. And but yeah, we definitely want him to come see this, because it was, obviously it was an idea from the, inspiration from The Simpsons, but Muggs was the one who actually said, hey, you know what, we should actually do a symphony, right? So that sort of planted the seed in our head into doing this. So I just sort of like helped push it along, and sort of tried to start up the communication with the right people. And salute to our manager Deb Klein, because she's the one who sort of spearheaded getting us to start it off with the Colorado Symphony, and then San Diego, like, just to see if it even worked, and to see if it was something, because this is a gamble right here, right? But when we did the Colorado one, it was awesome. And when we did San Diego, it was amazing. So we knew we had something there. And that's what's prompting, a series of these shows as opposed to a one-off.
Yeah, big up to
we're trying to get to Germany with this. Yeah.
Well, I said big up to Deb's imagination to be vast enough, and then you're always open-minded to engage into it, and then figure out if it's practical enough. I didn't mean to cut you all off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. But yeah, she made it happen, and in managers, that's what you want to see. Like, you have a vision. If they could make it happen, that's everything. And she definitely made that happen, and we're continuing to do more of those shows. And we realize this, right, that the people that normally come and they want to get down with the stage diving and the crowd surfing and the moshing, they actually enjoyed this show, because it was some of these people have seen us several times and seen different variations of what we do in terms of giving you the crazy hip hop energy. This one was a relaxed version of what we do, but like they were, I mean, it was the response was crazy for it. So, you know, like there is room to present something new for us, and that's with any hip hop group. You just got to be willing to push the envelope and you know, be out of the box, do something different, gamble on yourself.
Well, speaking of introduce, after the orchestra was done, did the shaman Be Real bless the orchestra with the
conductor? The conductor. Salute to Chris Dragon. You know, we said yes after the show, because like I asked him during one of the rehearsals. I said, "Hey, do you smoke?" I didn't even bother to, like, you know, ask you. He's like, "Yeah, I do, mate." You know, because he's Australian or New Zealand, from Australia or New Zealand, one of the two. And I said, "Well, because we were blazing. You know how we do. We weren't nervous about it at all. We're just going to go out there and do what we do with an orchestra, right?"
And on top of that, you're in the state that you help single-handedly usher in the understanding that legalizing has to happen.
Right. So, you know, we were totally relaxed about it, right? So we were sitting there backstage smoking, all the orchestras passing by, and you could tell some of them were stoners because they stood by our door just a little long. So what was going on, right? And, you know, I asked the conductor, "Hey, do you want to come in with us?" And he goes, "I'll do it after the show. We'll have an after joint celebration." So boom, he came in, and he thought he was just going to take a hit of a joint, but that's not how we do it. We don't we don't share joints. There's not one joint that goes around. Everybody gets their own joint. We do not do that shit anymore. You know, no one wants to get sick for fear of, you know, for FOMO. You know, I don't want to miss out on this joint. So I'm going to hit it even if I'm sick. You know, you guys maybe don't deal with that, but I have many a times throughout my stoner history, right? So the way to combat this is you roll everybody their own joint. So when he came in, he goes, "This is for me." All you. And him and his girlfriend finished it, and man, we had a great time. And the cool thing about it, about the San Diego shot, was that one of my childhood homies, who does the bike club, the Cypress Hillbillies with Sendog. His name is Greg O, right? And his son is a music major. You know, he's going to get his degrees and all that stuff, and he plays second chair for that particular San Diego Symphony. Wow. And for this show, with no influence of us coming in and saying anything, somehow magically he got pushed to the first chair to play with us. So one of our homies, his oldest son, got to play in that orchestra with us. And it's like that was one of the coolest things, because, you know, here our childhood homie, you know, we watched his son grow up into being a man, and now he's playing a show with us. And it's one of the most different shows that we've ever done. It was like a special moment, you know, for all of us in many different ways. It was cool.
I like to let people know that, you know, like, I mean, yeah, here it is. We post Prophets of Rage anyway, and Be Real being said, you know, I don't smoke, but I said to further show that we are a brotherhood, right? After every single tour, right? After every single tour, Chuck D did one toke for the team. And the first time we did it was in San Diego, and everybody was like looking at me like, "Yo, like, listen, I'm sanctioned by the shaman god right here. I'm not just hitting a joint off the curb at the street." Sure enough, did it. Boom. That was probably the last era of the pass arounds.
Hey, yeah, it was like religion. After every show, he would come do it. He would cop out and say, "Oh, not tonight, guys." After every tour. Yeah, every tour. Because after every show, his tolerance would have been like, "Lord," you know, they're like, "Oh, what happened? He's stoner now." No, after every tour, we would make sure to like throw everybody out of the room. There was no friend of the band in the room. There was no fans around. We'd shut everybody out, and it'd be Tim, Brad, Lord, and myself, and Chuck and myself, and boom, Eric. We'd all, you know, pass it around. And we didn't tell nobody because we didn't want to be busting Chuck out like that. You know what I mean? That was for him to say to people, but we kept that to ourselves, and that was like awesome because here he was, you know, being a member of the squad, and he didn't have to do that, but he did.
At all.
Yep.
Morello did it, but Chuck did.
we had to prove. Sometimes you gotta, you know, like sometimes you gotta prove that you down with each other, man. Can't I mean one week?
Hey, let me tell you something though. I got labeled as the bad influence in this band. I remember Tom Morello coming to me one night. Be real. Like one of the best bands in the world. But they're high all the time. Can you get them high after? Like, yes, Commandante, I got you.
Because you remember a couple of those gigs. Brad and Timmy got twisted.
Oh man!
And all of a sudden, Tom is turning around and like, where the fuck are you guys with this rhythm and shit? Like,
and they're looking at me. They're looking at me.
He was looking at me.
We can rock. Listen, we could do our vocals over any fucking thing. And Lord is in that world anyway. He's here and there and figuring it out. But yo, man, Tom was like, I don't know, yo, Brad, Timmy, I don't know where y'all at.
He'd be playing his guitar way. He'd be playing his guitar way up here, and looking at me like. My bad. I mean, hey, I can't tell. These guys come to me and say, "Hey, be real, roll a joint." Like, what am I gonna say? Hey, no, I can't.
Hey,
but
listen,
eventually, I made a rule for us. Like, okay, we're not smoking right now until after the show. And they were all looking at me like, well, huh? I didn't want to tell them that, hey, Tom don't want you guys smoking before the show because y'all be fucking up.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I can't hear it, but he can. You know, and that's
right. And the three of them got to be on the same page. I tell you this much, man, we had a hell of a lot more fun and genuine conversation, camaraderie. We had a lot more of a connection than Rage Against the Machine had last year in their tour reunion, or probably their whole lives. And you know, and maybe that's you know, and I remember one time having a conversation with Tom. He says, you know, like sometimes genius comes out of friction where cats ain't seeing eye to eye, and out of that shit comes some shit that rises like a flower. And I get that, but also when cats are on the same page for real, man. And like it's us against the universe, man.
There's
that's
nothing
a
like
whole
it.
different type of thing, man.
Hey, and not for nothing, Morello was right because realistically, those guys didn't have the tolerance like I have. Like I could remember Zach's lyrics, I could remember Chuck's lyrics, I could remember mine. I'm gifted with that. Knock on wood, so that doesn't reverse. But so, like, as high as I might get, I can still function and do the work because like this is something I've been doing since before we got on, you know what I mean? So my mind works different. And those guys smoking my weed and not having the frequency of smoking it, they might get on stage a little twisted and forget a line or confuse a song or be out of tune for a half a heartbeat, you know what I mean? And it was my fault indirectly. I should have put my foot down and said no. Right until after the show. But you know, Tom made me aware of it, and he was right because when those guys were playing like not so stoned, you know, on the money. Yeah. You know, and they might have felt better playing stoned. You know, that's a fact. But what they were feeling and what was Tom could tell. He's like, they're not playing that right. Most of the time, he was right. You know.
I want to give a shout out real quick to Rise from Spit that's in the house tonight. It was the homie Nick who was one of the people in the video that I did for Legalize Me that management rejected. But shout out to Nick because he was in that video. And,
big up, Nick.
Yeah.
I think also Nick brought up as a case point. Like I said, this show is not against Rage Against. We're very honored. Those are our brothers, but you know, we're going to talk about like the Brotherhood was Prophets of Rage. The Brotherhood is not, you know, so much Rage. That's their brotherhood, but our brotherhood allows me to speak out on it as somebody who's a fan and somebody on the outside looking in. The fact that there was a tour and no Rage Against the Machine records spoke volumes to me as being like, as a fan, I'm like, come on now. I mean, we're in a day where cats, like NBA YoungBoy, man, did more. This was a statistic. NBA YoungBoy did more songs last year than the entire catalog of. I mean, well, who was the artist I heard? Well, anyway, it was like something like more than Prince's catalog of songs NBA YoungBoy did in 1 year, which means I'm telling you, like, people making records is not a long stone's throw. It's like get in the studio, get on your laptop, yell on your phone or something like that, or whatever. I felt in the year of 2020 or even in the year of 20 when they came back last year, you got to make a fucking record, man.
If you want to come out and do what they normally do, yeah, you need a song that speaks to what's happening now.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to just leaning on the catalog that spoke to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is something that you've done. You speak to what happens now. You know what I mean? And yeah, no, I agree with you. They missed a moment to put out something that speaks to now. And that was disappointing. As a fan, it was disappointing because you know that had we been active, we would have put out a whole goddamn album about everything that was happening.
Everything.
I mean,
every time I look at Pence, man, I'm like, we actually went in on Pence. Like
went in on Pence. 666.
Yeah.
I mean, just as a case point, 0 on ATM records, 0
at prime time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, hey, at the least,
if I was Mueller, I would have been. If I was, once again, I'm throwing it all in him, man. If I was Don Mueller, I'd have said, listen, in order for this thing to happen and you guys to get this money and get this tour, deliver 10 songs to me,
or even one, or even one. Which they could have said, "Hey, yo, Chuck B, we'll buy that Decibel song."
I couldn't accept the fact that, you know, when we got the intel on it, that everything we did as Prophets of Rage from 1 or 2 guys said, "Oh, it's whack and it's corny." I just couldn't accept that, man.
Well,
yeah, especially when the guy who said it's whack or corny is like, you know,
was in on it.
And it ain't far. It ain't foreign. I get it from other people that are supposed to be close to me. Like, you know, they don't get, you know, new stuff that, you know, you might be doing because we're active, and you're only going to get criticized by people who are inactive. That's why I went proactive to write some songs for Flavor. I said, listen, you need to get active. I'm writing your songs and stuff like that, instead of you sitting on the side saying what you like or don't like.
Traditionally for them, they've made great music, but it hasn't always been easy to get that great music out of them. So, you know, reforming at this point, that would have took them the time that we spent with them in those 3 to 4 years, like developing this chemistry. He would have had to have done that all over again to actually get into a creative space, to create something different, not leaning on the old sound, but that speaks to now. And I think, and I think you know this as well as I do, a lot of artists these days, they want to lean on the yesterday's home runs. They don't want to affect what they did before. Like, so if I sold 5 million records on my last album, which was 20 years ago, if I put out a record now and I only sell 750,000, I look, fuck, this is fucked for our look. We cannot damage our legacy. So let's not even put anything out. We'll just go do shows. And that's the that's the artist trying to protect what the legacy looks like.
Right.
You know, so a lot of artists that got a lot of music left in them, they'll create stuff, but you'll never hear it. Only their circle of friends will hear it because they're afraid to like, oh, I don't want to damage the legacy here. You know, I can't afford to not sell 5 million records or at least 7 because my last one sold 5. I got to do better. And these days, it ain't guaranteed you're going to do better because most of the time people are streaming music. They're not buying it.
Buying anything. They're buying into you. And, you know, then big ups to Bobo putting out music, Sendog putting out music, DJ Lord trying to get another album out of DJ Lord and stuff, and his collaboration
Definitely
with
will.
Cody. And B,
And
you're the
3PO.
king of it. You're the king of it with your activity, never letting analysis get you to paralysis. And a lot of cats also have followed you on it. And Flatline could tell you, Flatline's been playing every aspect, every corner of your releases. And
thank you, Flatline.
And the 25-year existence of Rap Station and its 2 inclinations. And the last since 2009, every ounce, every collaboration, because I get it on our major, you know, flagship show weekly, but Flatline charts them and gets a legitimate chart. And I mean, how many Be Real songs have you charted? Like shit, like damn near like 80 to 100.
Yeah, a lot.
I work like right. You know, like I try not to ever stop working and writing and being in the studio, being in that environment, because to me, I feel like you just keep getting better the more you do it. It's like they say, you put in all those hours, 10,000 hours, you're getting better at whatever you're doing. And so definitely done that. And I've been in so many groups. I never thought like right now, right? We're finished. Psycho Les and myself are finishing up a duo album project that we just finished working on. Ridiculous. Psycho Les did all the beats, and him and I flipped rhymes, and we got a few other people to be on it with us. And the album I'm working on right now is with Exhibit and Demrick, another serial killers album, which is produced by Scoop DeVille.
Yeah.
Another one I have in the can right now that we haven't necessarily finished, but right there is with Burner. We got another album that we're doing together. This one's produced by Scott Storch, and we got to finish that one. And then I just started working on the Spanish EP, where it's just all shit in Spanish. I don't know when I'm gonna put out all this shit, but
yo, trust me. Listen, Big.
Yeah.
The minute that you press the release button, who gets it, guys? Flatline is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on it, and I'm here to support it, and we breathe life into these records that you're putting.
That's right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
He's already over here practically falling out of his chair. Everything you said.
Psycho Les and you. I mean, come on, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. And how that happened was organic, right? It's like he moved out here to Cali, and as Chuck and Lord know, I do my Dr. Green Thumb show, and also have the Dr. Green Thumb Mix show that we run on Twitch and in our home site. And he came down one day to be a guest, and we just clicked in. Yeah, that's right. And we clicked in, and then he asked me to do a song that he produced with Kool Keith. And after that song, we were like, hey, we should do something. And it wasn't like that normal, we should do something like that Hollywood shit, like, hey, we should work together. That never happened. Fortunately, you know, he has a spot that he does work out of, and I have my studio here at where we do the podcast and we film all our content. I built myself a studio here, so we did a lot of the vocals here, and it just sort of happened organically. We started with one song, and we said, we should do more, and it ended up being like 12 songs that we knocked down, and we said, fuck it, let's call it an album. And so it's going to be called Real Psycho. Real Psycho. And it's going to be pretty dope, man. It's real hip hop shit right there.
Wow.
Can't wait for that.
Hey, speaking of real hip hop shit, we just had the 7A3 on.
Oh yeah,
last week.
Brett Bolden and Sean.
Yep.
You know, those are my brothers right there. Brett B actually taught me how to write a song. Like I was writing raps beforehand, but when Muggs hooked up with them, because you know what a lot of the misconception is that Muggs was in 7A3 first and then Cypress Hill, and that's true technically, but Muggs was with us before he met 7A3, and 7A3 was the opportunity for him to get in. And in me, like I was fresh out of the, you know, gang banging and shit and doing that when I meet Brett and Sean, and I'm like trying to see if I got any spark in writing raps again. And, you know, like Brett was the actual one who put me on and said, you need to learn how to write a song. And I'm going to show you how it goes. And then you try it. And that's pretty much what put me on. And Hand on the Pump was that song. Like he wrote part of it and I wrote the other part of it. But after co-writing that song with them, that sort of gave me the idea for what I would do on the rest of the shit. And so salute to Brett, man.
Yeah. Well, they shared and they're talking about finally releasing the second currently unreleased second 7A3 album. And
the only thing I could say about that is that they should have let Muggs produce all the shit from off top. But if they don't do that, perhaps there's no Cypress Hill. So thank you to the boys for taking the one song.
Because they shared with us the 7MC's joint that you're on.
Oh yeah, that's right. Damn.
Yeah.
7MC's.
Amazing.
Yeah. You know, the guy that was the standout on that song was this guy named Daddy Mac or something like that. I think that's, you know, not to be confused with any, you know, crisscross affiliation. But I think that was his name, Daddy Mac or Big something Mac Daddy, something like that. I can't recall the actual proper name, but he flipped his verse, man. I mean, like that's when I knew that, because that was like my first posse cut, if you will.
Yeah.
And I knew that I didn't want to get my head chopped off ever again. So like after that, I made sure like I'm going to hear what these guys do and then I'm going to, you know, come to hack the head every time. But on that song, yeah, he got it to me, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a great song. It's a great song.
You know, the posse song that I wish would have came out that never came out is the ones with the Brand Nubians, Spark Another L. It was like we did something there, but it never came out, man. And those were my guys, so I wish that one would have came out. Yeah.
There must be an ocean of unreleased songs, man, for like from 1990 because of samples and whatever. I wonder what's in the vault, man. But you know what? We're gonna peel all these songs out the vault, man, and maybe fill a station with it. I don't know.
What's crazy is that I didn't get any features for, you know, in the front of the 90s. I didn't really get any. Like there was really, I think the only one was House of Pain, and I don't really count that because they're like family clique things. So of course we're gonna, you know, pop off on each other's records and stuff like that. But outside of Soul Assassins and Cypress Hill, I didn't really get on any features till probably after 95. You know, Sony made it difficult to do any of that shit. You know what I mean? They just were like, no, we ain't gonna have none of that. You know, labels don't want you. They don't want you taking the thunder away from what you got over here. Because if you blow up with that over there, it's a whole list of different demands. I want a solo record, and I want and all that shit. Like, oh my god,
Donnie Ienner was a welcomed czar. He's a welcome czar.
Love that guy, man. I love
record company. Yeah, I love him, man. Record company waxing his veins. I remember one time being in Donnie's office, and for everybody out there, Donnie Ienner was the president of Sony Records, CBS. A dude that he was telling me that I worked every single department in this record label to know what to do in the seat I am now, which is rare today, with cats are popping up.
You don't know shit.
While he was president of a label, like what else did you do? You just came from promotion. Now you're Donnie started in the mailroom.
Yeah, he understood how important every job was. No matter how high or how low it was, he understood the importance of all that. And I'll say this, man, he went to bat for us when when we went in there complaining about things. Who do you want me to fire? Point me in the direction. Because he knew at heart we weren't going to have him fire nobody. We were just young artists expressing our discontent for the inefficiencies that we think we see. You know what I mean? And, in his Donnie way, he'll explain it to you 100,000%, no filter, and no holding back. Man's man conversation with the motherfucker off top. I loved him for that, man, because no one kept it 1,000 like that guy, and he didn't have to. He didn't really have to. He could have made you talk to all the other people and never have a conversation with you. He could have been what they call the missing landlord, or what do they call that term? Yeah. He could have been that, but he was
absentee landlord.
Yeah, the absentee landlord. He could have been that, but he was not. He was present for all of us that he actually gave a shit about, and sort of taught us how this goes in case we didn't know by now.
Yeah, and at the same time, he would have you logically asking yourself questions and answering with the logic that he's like, what do you think?
Hey, I remember going up to Sony during Temples of Boom. We're about to release it, but there's a few things happening within the band dynamic and culture. One, Sendog had left after the recording of the album. He was like, you know what, fuck this. Him and Muggs were going through some things, and he was having his own issues with just being in the business, so he breaks out. We fired our managers right before we're releasing this record, and at the time, Sen had been gone for a while, so we're doing all these shows with guys like that we're bringing up to like sort of just fill in the space till he comes back, right? And so we noticed that we're not getting this crazy push on Temple of Boom at the time. It's like people were thinking we were over or something like that, right? And so we go up there, and he goes, "Hey guys, so what's on your mind?" And I said, "Hey, look, Donnie, if they're just if you guys are just gonna tank us, just let us go. You know what I mean? We feel like we're franchise players here, and that we do the work that you ask us, and we feel we've helped this company, man. But if no one believes in us anymore, then just let us go. Then to shit on the rest of our career." And he goes, "Okay, you want to give me all the shots? I'll take all the shots, but I'm not going to take all the shots." You want to talk like men? We're going to talk like men. Sendog's gone. You don't know who your manager is. We don't know who he's even the fucking group right now. But who do you want me to fire? I'll fire him right now. You fucking tell me that son of a bitch who don't believe in Cypress Hill, and I'm going to fire him today. And then he disarmed me with it. I'm like, "Oh, yo, Donnie, look, it ain't about firing anymore. You just want to know that you guys believe in us still." And he goes, "I fucking love you guys. I'll go to the bat for you every time, but you got to own your shit too."
Donnie,
you guys got a bunch of disarray type of things happening. You got to get hold of it. And that made me grow up in a heartbeat right there. The way that he spoke to me in that moment, he spoke to all of us. We were like right there to complain together. And after he tells me this, right, Jerry Blair, rest in peace, comes in the room, and he asked Jerry Blair, because Jerry Blair's the head of radio at this point, for alternative, or maybe for the whole fucking thing at this point. He goes, "Hey, Jerry, how's the record doing? How's everything going there?" And he goes, "It's tough, Donnie. It's tough. These guys there, they want to play the records." And he goes, "Jesus Christ. Back in my day, we'd go pay a guy off, and he didn't fucking play the song. We broke his fucking legs. These days, you guys got to suck dick, and you can't get nothing done with that." And we were like...
Donnie was 1,000%. He was 1,000% record dude. He was 1,000%.
That's a boss right there.
That's it.
Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him funky. So that's a boss right there, and he wasn't afraid to tell anyone this. I'll tell you what, most guys were intimidated by DJ Muggs, like just his persona. All the record company guys were like, "Oh, fucking Muggs, not Donnie Ienner." Donnie Ienner was not afraid to talk to nobody in the way that he talked to him, and really, he was trying to impart education to you because he knew you were young.
Yeah.
I mean, he's dealt with this type of thing for so many fucking years. He knows what you're dealing with. So it's like just trying to guide you into the space where you see your end in it and what you can do to change it. Like for instance, you know, he would constantly be telling us, "When are you gonna stop talking about this gangster shit? Like, you know, move on. You guys ain't doing that no more. You guys got to fucking think beyond that." And it started, you know, helping me to think of other things, as you know, like that birthed the song "Rock Superstar," where I'm not talking about the streets. I'm talking about my experience in the music industry and how this shit is just as treacherous in some degrees. You know what I mean? And you know, he helped educate me, man. I gotta say, man, like a lot of people walk away from their labels trying to shit on the label and shit on the fucking president. Oh, I cannot do that. Love Donnie Ienner to this day.
Indeed. DJ Lloyd, my friend.
Check me, my friend.
Yes, man. It's like the push button DJ, you know, is coming to like what right now? And 2023 going to 2024. It seemed like the era of the push button DJ has rescinded a little bit. There's, at least in Hip Hop 50, there's a small reappreciation for turntablists and turntablism.
There is
going into Hip Hop
emergence.
51. How do you see it, bro?
I see it. Push button DJs ain't going nowhere as long as there's places like Las Vegas. Push button DJs will be around for a long ass time and getting paid for it. But with softwares like Serato that's doing, you know, the hashtag thank you DJ right now, upload your routine, bringing the DJs forward, showcasing their talent with all the new gear coming out, and it's Serato is where it's at. There is an emergence of more turntablists being seen now because a lot of people are figuring it out that you know, all the whole Paris Hilton and you got a controller and a whole bunch of MP3s, and now you're all of a sudden a seasoned DJ. But you're not, and you're not seeing them perform these things. You're seeing these manufacturers and these screens and things like that, and all these visuals. But you know, it's like looking at the Wizard of Oz, and you pull the curtain back and see the wizard. It's a little fucking 2-foot man down there, right there, with a whole bunch of puppet arms. You know, so turntablism is going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, big up to Jazzy Jeff, LL and the Roots out on tour, and the Roots saw within their frame that bring Jeff out. So when acts were doing guest stars on the Force tour, they knew that, okay, beyond the Roots, Jeff was up there. So it was a sight that I saw him at the Forum. I went down there one night. LL said, "Come on down," and when I finally walked in there, I saw Jazzy Jeff getting down for Salt and Pepper.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
he was DJing for all the groups coming through there. So his idea was to make it like a mixtape, you know, so it all blends together.
Right.
And the only thing changes, the artist jumps is on stage performing it, but he's still orchestrating the music, blending together like a mixtape live. So yeah, big ups DJ Jazzy Jeff, my inspiration.
Yeah, hey, real quick, we have a surprise guest that popped in. Speaking to 7A3, Sean B in the house.
Oh shit!
Oh, there he is.
Conjured up.
What up?
What up?
What up,
What's
Sean?
going on, y'all? I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
Man. It's good
I'm
to
sitting
see
here
you,
listening
man.
to y'all. Good seeing you too, man. Good seeing you all. What up, though, B? What up, though, Chuck? What up, though, C? What up? What up, everybody? Damn, this is a reunion right here. Hey, Jimmy. Man.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't poke my head in the week before when you and Brett was up there, but big up, man. Caught it from the outside. I caught the replay gang, and you're truly one of the, you know, you're one of the curating, active MC producing pioneers that actually put a lot of things on the map, Shawnee. But I've told you
Wow.
put in time though.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. But I got to give shouts out to my brother who actually is the curator on our end. You know, I did invite him. He was driving as well, so he might be on. He might surprise us as well. He'd be technologically though, you know, challenged.
Well, don't show and drive.
Oh man, it's all good. It's all good. Nah, but yeah, I appreciate that, Chuck, and it's definitely coming from a admirable, revered point of respect to you, because you helped us out a great deal. We went on tour with you initially in our early career, and you laid out a paid platform that we was able to launch off of, which enabled us to allow B&M and Cypress and them to launch off of, and we all kind of launched off each other. So I just appreciate the opportunity that hip hop has awarded all of us.
I think one of the things with me, I'm glad and this is in hindsight. I'm kind of glad I never had an asshole moment when I was an asshole and a dick. You know?
Well, Chuck, if you really want to know now.
Because I see a lot of that, like in hearing stories and somebody, I mean, really like from administrators and executives and managers, and you hear like stories of people who were in the music business and they're outside of the music, and they had a lot of power and positioning. And so their stories are always like, kind of like, well, it's just like, watch out for this. And then I'm like, well, you sort of was a dick, right? But so these stories wash up on your shore. I mean, I think we started this whole episode with a little bit of that, but yeah, I thought that number one, I think one of the educational things for me is that the first tours we were on, none of the groups kind of got along with each other. I think they were a little battle worn too, because I'm not going to name the groups, but they had been on tour with each other like 3 years in a row. So after a while, it turned into some other shit. And I'm like, and nobody was watching each other's show. So when we finally got up into that position around 88 with Stet and people like the EPMD said, we're going to be, well, I am going to be, and others going to be part of the act. Me, Daddy-O, would be like, we're going to be there in the beginning of the show to check out everybody up to our show. And we're going to say, this is a total show instead of parts of a show, where everybody got their fragment. This is what they do nowadays. Like the groups, like it's like the conversation between maybe a Travis Scott and Offset or whatever. I don't know. They're not the same. They're like, do my thing and we're out of here. And we were like, well, this is all, like me, Ice-T and all. So when Cypress and it came and you guys came, we didn't want to see that like how it was in the mid 80s, like nobody's talking to each other. It's like, yeah, you're in competition, but then this is one show against we all against the world, and that was a beautiful thing for a beautiful period, man. Seeing that that you could give advice. I always watch sports, and just seeing like a batting coach with, like, I remember seeing this picture of Joe DiMaggio and Reggie Jackson. And he's teaching Reggie how to actually get around on something. I'm like, wow, this is the greatest shit in the fucking world. I said, well, I would try to do that in hip hop and rap. Like, because Ecstasy from Houdini did that to me, and Dougie Fresh did that to me. So it was about spreading that energy and that love. And then when I seen Cypress Hill record together way later in 1998, Smoking Grooves, they took it to another level. They were like the first group that I ever saw set up booth in the middle of the fans, and before and after performances, meet and greet everybody. That has to go a long way. It goes all the way into it. It transcends generations. I mean, I already told the story many times, but probably since we're here right now, we're playing Smoking Grooves in Houston. And this is the craziest story, right? We're playing Smoky Cruise in Houston, Texas. And I decided to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go sit with Cypress Hill and their line full of 7,000 people lining up to get off. And I'm going to sit, and I sat next to Be Real. And, you know, people going one by one, signing, shaking hands, having conversation, nothing corny, nothing phony at all. Real shit, right? And this dude rolls up with his girl, his wife, and she's like 9 months pregnant. She's like about to pop, right? So dude looks, you know, hey, what up, Chuck D? Hey, Be Real. We think so much and highly of everything you do. Brother, can you actually like put your hands on my wife's belly and say a prayer? Oh, like, what the fuck? I look at B like, what the fuck? You know, and B is on there, you know, giving a prayer, and they got their heads bowed and their eyes, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, this is the greatest shit ever in rap music I've ever fucking seen in my fucking life. That and Cannabis rapping against a lion. This shit is
That's funny.
Remember that, B?
Yeah.
Going head to head every night against the lion. Although an emaciated lion, because I don't know when that lion was eating any food.
Drugged out.
Drugged and starved out, right? But so sure enough, I seen this thing happen. Crazy as truth. What happened like later on, B, in Houston?
Oh yeah. So fast forward to now, we're doing Prophets of Rage, and I get a DM from the wife who I prayed on her belly, saying that she was there with her husband. They're now bringing the kid that I prayed over, who is now 18, to watch Prophets of Rage with Chuck and I.
Wow.
Then I showed Chuck, and we were both blown away by that, because you know this is a story that we share a lot. Because when people ask me about stuff like that, and when Chuck talks about that, the whole reason that we were doing the meet and greets and getting with our fans was because of my first encounter with Chuck. Chuck was in LA, and we were at a club called the Penthouse Lounge. And so anybody that was into hip hop, you know, like, and with status would go to this club, right? And so I see Chuck there, and he's walking around there. It's me, Sendog, and one of our other guys named Fernando, big Public Enemy fan too. We recognize him off the top. Now, being from LA, and Sean could tell you this because he's lived in LA long enough, we don't approach other celebrities for the sake of being let down by their fucked up attitudes sometimes as being celebrities. Yeah. So we might have to beat our favorite guy down if he talks. So we would often avoid talking to some of our idols because, you know we live in the fucking land of Hollywood. They're prone to act like dickheads, right? We took our chance with Chuck. We didn't know. We're like, hey, yo, Chuck, we love Public Enemy. We love you, man. One of these days, hopefully, we're doing what you do. And, man, you know, keep doing it. And instead of walking away from us or ignoring it, Chuck, in Chuck forms, it's like, hey, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Keep doing what you're doing, and maybe one day you'll be doing what we're doing, man. And thank you. And gracious like that. And I said to my homeboy Fernando, if I ever get on, I'm treating my fans just like that guy right there. And that stuck with me my whole fucking career, even to this day. And so that prompted things like what we call meet and greets now, what we were doing at Spoken Groove. We did them 3 years in a row. And we invited Chuck to see that. And he got to see me praying over this lady's stomach. And this was happening quite a few times. I didn't never understand why. I mean, people know that I'm a shaman and Ifa and Santerias, but it's kind of different. People are mostly afraid of this, right? Because it's a Nigerian-based, culture of spirituality, and some, we know how it got to where it got, right? To the Caribbean and other places like that. So it's been in my bloodline since before I was born, right? So But it's something some of the fans knew about me. So every now and then, being that I got labeled as a priest, they'd ask me to pray over, over them. And this just happened to be a pregnant woman. And it was a trip, actually connecting with Chuck and doing Prophets of Rage and then doing that show and coming full circle to this lady and her family. And now they got their son there to hear Public Enemy and Cypress Hill, and now this Prophets of Rage thing, when he was pretty much in the womb listening to this, 18 years ago or something like that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
that was wild.
That was a crazy thing. But my whole interaction with our Cypress Hill fan base and as my solo stuff as Green Thumb and the rest, I all attribute that to the way Chuck embraced me that day. Didn't know me. I was a fan in that moment, and I said, that's how I want to treat my fans. I want to be welcoming and not be that guy that we're afraid to approach because we don't want to be let down by them not wanting that moment. Like, fuck out of here. I don't want. And I've seen guys do that.
Yeah,
Some of my friends that I came up with this in this industry do that to fans, and I'd be like internally like fucked up behind that. And you got to understand, I was a gangbanger, so like I shouldn't really gave a fuck about any of that, but I did. And it resonated with me, and I thank Chuck for that because I've been able to pass that down to other artists as he passed it down to me. I don't know who passed it down to him, but I definitely take that teaching and pass it down to other artists so that that stays a thing, man, because we got to have respect for the people we do this shit for. And that love, you know what I mean? In that minute, Chuck told me like this. And I always say it to people, the 5 minutes you give a person is everything. It could be the best or it could be the worst. It's on you, but they're going to remember that 5 minutes for the rest. That determines whether they're going to love you or hate you. You know what I mean? And
we're going to remember them covered up crates.
We're going to remember those covered up crates. Oh, dang.
You know what's interesting about what y'all both just said? Chuck, you were that for a lot of people. And I always respected that. You never changed throughout the onset of since I've met you. And you opened and embraced all of us. Be real. His name is Be Real. And I want to say that he has always been real.
Thank you, sir.
And like I said, I tell people this all the time. Before I even knew he rhymed, I was saying ciphers and promoting ciphers. I was doing plays, asking DJs, did they have how I could just kill a man when I knew that it wasn't even out, while I was touring in different places, because he's like a brother and they were like brothers to us. And so he also embodied what he just expressed, staying real with people. I mean, and that's a testimony of character. And that's a character that I always embraced and always enjoyed. So because that's what we were about. So quite frankly, I salute you for that, bro. I salute you, Chuck, because you made us all feel like we were part of your family when you just met us. I remember you coming to my apartment, which was amazing to us because Brett and I had an apartment. I'm 17, he 21, and we got Chuck D in our living room. And you was just there chilling. And so it was like, those were some amazing moments that I don't think you understand. Even to the point when I last was on the road with you, I just came to visit. We was on a tour in Europe. And I was just there visiting, just hanging out. And you was like, yo, Sean, take the mic. Man, I ain't rhymed in years.
How you gonna be on the stage with us and not take the mic? I know your background, I know your resume, dog.
Man, and that, but those moments, because you got to realize, in those moments, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just enjoying being with you guys in Europe, and we were touring and having that opportunity. And by the way, y'all, just for the record, Chuck and Flav at their respective ages when we was on this tour, tore it down better than any MCs I know, period. Their breath control, their ability to do a long set, continuously entertaining with energy, night to night to night. Salute. Incredible.
Yeah, you guys
And
set the
B,
bar. You guys set
yeah,
the bar for sure for all of us.
absolutely. And B understands it because, you know, we started out just doing 5 minutes, you know, doing
Yeah.
an hour, a 2-hour set. That's something different.
But B and Sin defy all logic. Because I was like, I didn't get, I was like, to me, I always thought that a smoker can't hang out. Be Real smashed my brains backwards. I'm looking at this dude every night. Not only is that he can do 4 hours, so I said his lungs are just fucking some different shit, man. I'm like, but he just defied all fucking. I took the book I had and I burned that motherfucker, man. But then I said, maybe I should have saved it because B Real's he's a fucking superhuman.
Absolutely.
I give credit to the second boost in my career. I was going through the 10 year itch. And that man right there, DJ Lord, came in. And, you know, like, no knock on Terminator. We'll be doing some things with Terminator. You know, I got Lord's blessing to try to figure out how to make, you know, do events and stuff like that and make all the parts work, you know. Big up to my guy Juice and all. When DJ Lord came in, he was a breath of the millennium. He's the one that carried me through the fucking millennium. Because 1999, I was like, okay, where to go from here? And trust me, we were like holding a bag of hot air. We were like, no DJ. And Norman, you know, he had gotten burnt out or whatever, or just like he was done with it. And Griff happened to know. I knew also, and Griff knew Whitfield Payne. Whitfield who also said,
shout out to
he
Whit.
knows a DJ also from Savannah.
Savannah in the house.
In Atlanta. Huh?
I said Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia in the house.
Right, Savannah. And, you know, Lord could tell that story better than anybody because we were up against the bricks. We had like, here we are. My man just retired. And I'm like, what? I said, well, at least take a break or leave of absence or something. He forgets that I begged Terminator. Like, why don't you stay a minute? I didn't know what was in his ear at the time. So we had to figure something out. And Lord was kind of like, you know, we went there. I looked at him. I was like, well, I'm already trying to figure out, like, yo, man, we need somebody. We don't know no push button. This shit is complicated. This shit is fucking complicated. And I don't necessarily want to go back to records either. But I don't, because at our last performance in Tokyo, we went from records to hard drives. And a hard drive was like records were always jumping all over the place, man. The S1s would move, flavors jumping, I'm jumping. Records just had a hard time staying on time. It's one thing when you got one MC and a DJ. Oh, Jam Master Jay got 2 MCs. Yo, man, we had like 8 people stomping on the dance stage. And I gotta fucking hold up the fucking like, yo, man. So we said, well, maybe we'll get to some sort of hard disk recording. But after a while, this shit felt like a straitjacket. I'm like, all right, you know, it's going to stop like this. It's going to start like that. So we were in the middle of just getting acclimated to that thing. Then Lord comes along, and I even forget the system that you use. It was like, I got a system that goes from, and it was Serato and all that didn't exist yet. But
that wasn't out yet.
But you was records and
the instant replay
and records, the combination.
Yeah,
but the thing about it, you was able to go from instant replay, which was kind of get you in a straitjacket, into like the flexibility of records getting extensions, cuts, scratches, and mashups, and I can still rhyme over it and not worry about we going off in the deep end that you can't come back from. So I was like, okay, but you was thrown into the fire. What, you had 60,000 people in Belgium on your first gig.
And no rehearsal.
No rehearsal. But I would tell you this, and the reason I brought you up is like every fucking gig, man, when I was looking to somebody for some resolve, I ain't got another rapper. I mean, I got Flavor. He's all over the place, right? Who do I rely on in this band that seriously loves hip hop that's going to give me a fucking challenge? And every time, Lord will look at me, he wouldn't say shit. You Chuck D. and I expect you to be Chuck D when your ass is up there.
Yo, Chuck.
Sure enough.
Chuck. I know Lord is like roundabout like 57, but he got a young spirit.
Easy now.
Man.
What's wrong with y'all?
Yo, Lord, what up, man? I didn't even recognize that was you. What up, bro? I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yo, man. So I'm just like saying is that it's like, yo, man, for 20 years, man, dude was the standard of excellence that I had to raise my game to. There was nobody, like every once in a while Griff was in, Griff was out, but Griff is kind of like a overseer of the whole stage effect. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Rhyming and making sure I'm in there in that pocket. It's no matter what, it's the rapper and he's the DJ, I'm the rapper. If that shit ain't happening, you ain't got nothing fucking popping. And sure enough, he drove me. And I really appreciate, man, every day you was there, Lord. Every fucking day, dog.
Back at you, man. You're the inspiration for me. You can't don't forget that.
Yeah, man. So that's why I say this next realm is a beautiful realm, man. Because the two most inspirational drivers, committed motherfuckers I ever seen is you two guys.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. And I got to say, the reason that Lord is this is because he's a student of the game. Like, he loves it. It's a passion to him, not just something he does. And he looks for a challenge, you know what I mean? Where other dudes in his position might get complacent and bored. He looks to, like, carry it to a different level. And I'll say, like, when he came, when I got to know him through Prophets, and I suggested that he do a couple of DJ gigs with Cypress. It was an easy snap, and everybody was like, "Yo, we need him." You know what I mean? And because the way he's a student of the game is the same with all of us. You know what I mean? Right. So we felt like, yo, he's one of us, like easy, So I could totally relate to what you're talking about in terms of like, him keeping the vibe fresh and renewing and always like pushing forward. Because I mean, I'll say this, since he's joined the show, our show is constantly just completely elevating. And that's why we give people the roller coaster ride the way we give, because we got one of the baddest fucking turntablists on the planet back there, driving the ship. And the way we all snap in together, the way him and Bobo snap in was equivalent to how him and Morello snapped in. The only difference is that Bobo can actually keep up with that's just being 1,000, and that's nothing against Tom, but it's like, it's a different thing when you're playing percussions with the DJ. Playing the guitar with the DJ, that could be tricky because you ain't never gonna beat him in the fucking transform. With the hands, you might be able to keep up, but but this is what he brings to the game, and not only that, not only his technical skills, but his vibe, the love. You know what I mean? And this is my brother. He's always gonna be my brother. and and Chuck as well, man. I mean, that's my big bro. That's the mentor right there. So you two dudes, man, love y'all to death.
Love y'all, man. And inspiration, it's iron sharpens iron, you know. And that's real spit.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to absorb and soak things up. We know it's getting late.
On,
it's
man.
the 3 hour. It's the special 100 show
Episode
edition.
100.
It could never be no better. I tried to keep a secret last week when I poked my face in. Me and C-Doc knew that it was a possibility. And then when the bros came back from Bogota, just ripping up, yet another Cypress Hill world domination show. I say, oh, they're going to be stateside. We possibly could have a surprise for a show.
Oh yeah. Oh, come on.
Surprise.
Whenever you call me, I'm there. There is no question. Whenever you need me, all you got to do is call, because I'll be right there, man. Always.
And y'all know it's vice versa. The thing about it, immediately, I think it was right not long after the Prophet shows, and I had to regroup and get my whole other thing together. And I think Sin had to take care of an issue, and I really felt so bad that I couldn't come out and fill in, and I know it was really needed. And I felt so bad because I was like, wow, I already had committed, speaking dates, and I was like, man, I could just. But me, I drive that damn bus if I have to, man.
And Chuck, before we go, I also want to thank you, because the fact that you co-signed me to be in Prophets of Rage and said yes to Morello, hey, that's something that I'm interested in. That was everything, because they were always on the fence about me whether I could deliver or not, because I'm a stoner. Because I'm a stoner and because I'm a rapper. Could I be as powerful a vocalist as Chuck or Zach, for that matter? Because what we do in Cypress is very different.
Right.
And the fact that I'm a fucking high level stoner, no pun intended. Can he be responsible? Can he be accountable? Can he do this job? Right? You co-signing me was like a chance for me to prove to them that I could more than do this.
And you knocked that shit out the park.
I got this shit in my pocket like nothing.
Well, and number one, it was a saving grace, because, like I said, the minute that you came up, I said immediately, you the alpha mic guy, and they didn't kind of get it at first, because they said, "This is
they wanted
real,
you to lead."
Chuck. I said, "Yeah, but listen, he's got a great memory. He's got a voice as close to Zach. He's, what I'm saying, all those attributes that, I got strong points, but you got to realize your strong points and your weaknesses to be able to take on a new endeavor." It would be times we're going on a thing, and Be Real got total command of the pacing, which means he's got members 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in his head on when he's going to deliver the timing of the next crescendo. And a couple of times, if I'm off time and all, B kind of tap my leg or look at the side like this. Oh, I think this is the move, B. This is the move. The move is like.
I got this.
Yeah, I got bro. Wait a little while. As you got to respect the leading position in order for the thing to come off and for you to come off. Now, there's a whole bunch of people in music who are sensitive to a whole bunch of shit. They don't follow sports, which means if the coach blows a whistle, in sports, it'd be like, yo, you'll follow the fucking coach or lead player, man. Your ass is on the bench and maybe cut. But in music, especially guys in music that really don't follow sports, they get sensitive, and they would look sensitive yo, what the fuck, man? How you gonna signal not coming in? That shit is a disaster to any camaraderie that's supposed to work on the stage. So I relish those positions, because that's the position that Be Real needed to be in. It's not a 1-1 thing. It's not a shared situation. You have an A1, and I said, I'm going to be A2. So you got to respect and be subservient to the call. And
I got to tell you, Sin Dog and Bobo hate that shit when I do that. I'll be looking back. Lord could tell you too. I'll be looking back at Lord once in a while.
It doesn't work no other way.
I can't help it.
Listen.
Yeah,
You
babe,
don't
it's the Gemini in you.
You don't think I understand the amount of years my hand is going up on Flavor Flav?
I saw it. I saw it. We were doing you guys were doing a show in Germany. We were doing a show the next day. We heard you guys were at a club. So we went to go see you guys, and someone fucked up on stage, and all of a sudden one of them broke out into like 20 or 30 jumping jacks real quick, and then somebody else had to do push-ups. I mean, there was a full-blown workout session going on. Anytime anybody fucked up, push-ups.
Yep, we call them fuck-ups.
We call them fuck-ups.
And motherfuckers is looking for somebody to fuck up, too. It's like, yo, looking for the fuck-up. Be like, yo, push-ups right here on stage in the middle of the set.
So what we got from you on that, like, so we took that, right? We saw what you guys were doing, and so the next tour we went on, we all carried yellow flags, so that if anybody fucked up, bam, yellow flag on the play. Like, and it worked. We used it backstage, on the bus, and on stage, right?
Wow.
So if somebody was doing something out of pocket, boom, yellow flag, right? And then, you could imagine how this worked for things, right? Like if somebody was talking to a girl and someone else came and did the proverbial cock block, bang, flag on. But so this is what happened to me, and I know we're gonna wrap up, but this is what happened to me because I was throwing flags on everybody, right? I was like every show a flag came out from me, Send Dog, Bobo, whoever the fuck. I was giving it to everybody, right? So we're in Jersey doing the Stone Pony, right? And, we're in it. Crowd's going crazy. We get to Insane, which I've done a few hundred times by that time. In the middle of Insane, I freeze on a word and lose the fucking second half of the verse. I turn back, and all the flags are coming. They could not wait. And this is when we played with a band, right? So it's DJ Muggs, it's Eric Bobo, it's Send Dog, it's our guitar player, keyboard player, bass player, and other guitar player. All their flags just like, fuck, I deserved that one. That was my karma came back around. But that we got from watching you in the push-ups. That's for sure. Like, I'm going to document your fuck-ups. Flag on the play.
Good ass man.
Word up.
Wow. Hey, listen, man.
The
This
flags.
has been a party. This has been a party, man. Right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I thank and I love each one of y'all, and that's everybody on this panel tonight. Show number 100. We promise to be great. And hey, listen, man. I'll stop in one of those shows one of these days somewhere. Stop in, ride the bus, and enjoy myself. And you too, Shawnee B. We'll catch up. We'll break some bread. And tomorrow I am sending out these books. And since I'm here for a second, these books are going out the door. They're in the boxes of my art books. They're on my way. Okay, they're on its way. Rather, I love y'all.
Love
we're
you
gonna
too,
turn
bro.
the mic
Love
on
you,
over
Chuck.
to the head of the master of ceremonies, C-Doc, to take us away with the blessings.
Yep. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Everybody.
Absolutely.
The prophets from Prophets of Rage, Be Real, DJ Lord, Chuck D, Sean B in the house, special guest.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And Ultra Mag, I guess we'll save the 100 look back for next week's episode.
Why? Because it's too long?
That's what she said.
Exactly. Joy, everybody, you can join Mr. Chuck D, Flatline, and myself on Friday on Angie Don't Stop Radio Show on the Rap Station app. Go download the Bring the Noise app. You can also catch Jennifer O'Jenny and Ultra Bag 7 with DJ Soulbuck Sunday on the mixtape right here on Channel Zero, where they'll be playing the music of next week's guest, who is...
Oh, shit. That's
you.
I heard of him. His shit is in on the street.
Wow. Actually, next week is T-Money.
T-Money.
All right.
Yeah.
T-Money.
From Original Concept, the Yo Man.
And also prayers blessing Crazy Bone.
Yes.
Yes.
Straight up.
Yep. And and also tune in to Channel Zero tomorrow night to catch Behind the Bars with JD for another episode of that. And they're on a little bit later than we are, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think.
JD.
And salute to my brother JD. Solid guy, man. Love that dude.
Yep. Super guy. And and so we will see everybody else back here next week on another episode of It's C-Doc again.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Word up.
All right.
Good seeing you all.
Thank you.